I know.
Right there.
Okay.
Would y'all stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Scott Foster,
Here.
John Laughlin,
Here.
Beth Brazzoni,
Here.
Caroline Madden is absent. George Calise
Here.
and Ginny Nichols.
Present.
We have a quorum. Approval of the agenda. Are there any comments on that?
Mr. Chair, I would suggest that we move item 7, which is the county update that will be shared by Supervisor Hopkins, who's here with us. That we move that in front of item 6, public discussion. And I think it'll be apparent as we go through the program this evening why that may actually be more effective and efficient.
Okay, any other requests?
No, I agree.
Do we need to speak up? Did I hear somebody say you're having a hard time hearing
Yeah.
us or not?
Can't hear you in the back.
So do we have a microphone? There's supposed to be a mic?
Well, while we're waiting, if there is one, let's just speak up.
Let's use our outside voices.
We'll use
Yeah.
outside voices. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as modified by Vice?
I motion. I make a motion.
And you've done.
Ginny
I'll second.
and
Okay,
Beth.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any conflicts of interest regarding the agenda by any of the members?
So I have something I need to say to avoid a conflict of interest. As many of you know, I wear quite a few hats in our community, but tonight I am here solely as a Coastal Municipal Advisory Council member. I am not here representing the Bodega Harbor Homeowners Association in any fashion. I just need to make that very clear this evening.
Thank you. The November minutes. Everyone's had a chance to read them. Motion to approve,
So moved.
the second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I have to abstain.
Thank you. Council member comment. Like to hear an update from each of you on what's happening in your community. We're a very unique municipal council here. We are linear. We go from Bodega, Valley Forge up to Sea Ranch. Most of the other municipal advisory councils are geographically centered around something, a town or whatever, that has a much more unified response to issues and things like that. Up here, our communities each have their own sets of issues. One of which a couple we're going to talk about tonight. So I think it's important we move up and down the coast for our meetings and we try to agendize and discuss issues that are important to you. And that's where what we're focusing on as well as in future agendas. So, George, would you start? Do you have anything to?
Yeah, this is a little bit out of date, but I didn't get up last meeting. So,
Close to your mouth.
oh, wow, does that work?
No.
No.
Does it need to get,
Yeah, this is button.
How about that?
there we go,
That's working, okay,
Hold it close.
close.
got it, okay. I was able to meet, some weeks ago with, representatives from the county public health, department and, Redwood Coast Medical Services, who happens to be just on the Mendocino line, but services quite a bit of the Sonoma coast. And at least as far down as Jenner, I'm not sure if they service Bodega Bay or not. The issue was vaccine access, and the immediate problem was the inability of RCMS to have COVID vaccines. They did have flu vaccines. I believe Bodega Bay had a flu vaccine event with a mobile clinic or
It
something.
was a health event.
Yeah, health event,
At the
everything.
center.
But COVID vaccines, perhaps RSV too, I'm not positive, are just generally unavailable on the coast. You've got to drive to Guerneville or Santa Rosa, or you're going to have to go to a pharmacy. There's some issues there. We didn't figure out a resolution. The main issue is that after the pandemic, RCMS, the cost of COVID vaccines is such that they're not at all covered by insurance, not even a portion of them. So they're kind of out of reach. During the pandemic, I think the federal government provided them free. And so now the only way on the coast, if you want a COVID vaccine, is to drive hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever your distance is and go to a regular pharmacy. And so that's certainly a limitation to vaccine access. We didn't come up with a solution, but several representatives from the Department of Health listened in, and they had some possible ideas that they were going to work on between themselves and RCMS and see if we can improve vaccine access.
Thank you. Right.
So I'll be speaking specifically about Bodega and Valley Forge. I'll let John and Jenny address the Bodega Bay issues. From that point of view, dealing with the storms and the wind that we've recently had was substantial, caused quite a bit of damage, roadway issues. But I'm going to tell you right now, Sonoma County showed up. We're very grateful and impressed with how Sonoma County Roads Department came and helped clear different areas along the coast, along the interior roads and exterior roadways. Getting along or getting around in West County is its own issue, right? We all know that. But frequently we get delayed when the county staff isn't available to come help with the roadways. But this time they were here and they did their job, and we're grateful for that.
Great, thanks. Let me pass it over to Jim.
So one of the updates that I have is that to just re-announce that we have a compost depot. We are a compost depot for the county. So if you're a gardener or you're doing any kind of landscaping, there is free compost available at the Bodega Bay Elementary School, and signage is on the way. We haven't gotten the signage yet, but it's official. There was an MOU signed between the school district and the county, which was an official part of making this broader announcement, even though people that are gardeners here have known about it for about a little over a year. And so I just wanted to let you know that, so it's available.
Thank you. As many of you are aware, and as evidenced by the turnout of the members of the community this evening, the residents of Bodega Bay and Bodega Harbor, as well as visitors, have been dealing with an unmanaged and unmanageable influx of cars, the public, and many of their dogs to enjoy the recently opened Estero Americano Ranch Preserved, which is owned and operated by the Wildlands Conservancy, which is a nonprofit land trust. After several years of planning and various public hearings and an approval process, the county and the Coastal Commission, the California Coastal Commission, approved the application to open the preserve to the public in the fall of 2025 on a limited controlled basis, and then moving to a full opening. On January 10th, As many of you are aware, the San Francisco Chronicle wrote a very major story with some spectacular photos of the preserve and presented it. The Chron reaches hundreds of thousands of readers. Apple News Plus, which has a reach of tens of millions, picked up the Chron story, I believe on January 12th. It was then picked up by local Channel 2 News and other news organizations. It is now appearing as one of the recommended hikes on all trails. It has a number of 5-star reviews, which reference ease of parking. Clearly, they were there at either 2 in the morning or on a cold Wednesday afternoon. Nonetheless, as a result of the publicity, the local area has been inundated with traffic and visitors. The only access point to the preserve is via a public trail. It's called the Short Tail Gulch, the entrance of which is located on what was historically a very quiet residential street in Bodega Harbor. The south end of Bodega Harbor, where the trail is located, can only be accessed via one street off of Route 1. So extremely constrained ingress and egress options. Over the intervening 10 days, there have been as many as 300 cars vying for parking on any given day. That is likely the high number, but nonetheless, that's a count that has been done several times by several people. And that's a conservative estimate on what was the busiest day so far. And likely more than 1,000 park visitors have been on the preserve in a single day. This has created an immediate and acute safety issue. There is at least one documented incident of an ambulance and crew being delayed in rendering aid to a member of the public given the volume of traffic and the absence of any dedicated designated parking. Parking is presently allowed on both sides of a 21-foot wide residential street. There are grave implications in the event of a fire or a natural disaster if one were to occur during this high volume traffic or visitor day activity. This is, as expressed by me, and I'm summarizing comments from dozens of people over the last 5 days, this is an unwanted and unmanaged intrusion disrupting the lives and safety of hundreds of residents who live in the South Harbor of this development. Further, there is great concern, and this is important, beyond the immediate safety issues, there is great concern around the potential damage being done to an ecologically sensitive environment, given the volume of visitors. And a great number of those visitors are not staying on the designated trails, and they are not observing the posted rule that dogs must be on a leash. The Wildlands informally has said they, at this point, have been overrun and are overwhelmed by this activity and are not able to manage it at this stage. The community is distraught and completely flummoxed as to who can help them resolve these issues and what is being done to address them. Finally, the community was very clear in the expression of concerns that I had from a number of members of the community. They were very clear, and they wanted to stress this, that they do not oppose public access to the preserve. This is not a NIMBY issue. Residents too are enjoying this amazing set of vistas, but they are demanding, truly demanding, controlled and managed access, and it needs to happen now. And I appreciate that our supervisor for District 5 recently former chair of the Board of Supervisors, Linda Hopkins, is here this evening. Several of us have raised this beginning January 9th with the county as an acute and almost an emergency issue, perhaps not the same as the Russian River having millions of gallons of sewage leak into it, but nonetheless, this is a real health and safety issue. And it's one unaddressed that is going to ruin an environmentally sensitive area. And so I think it is important that Linda and the rest of the MAC and those folks listening both have an opportunity to comment on this, share their perspectives. But in the interest of trying to address some of likely the common questions, this was my suggestion that we alter the agenda and let Linda deliver the report from the county, which I assume will likely address some of the concerns that have been raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice. Okay, so we're going to go to the county update now, and then we'll have public comments. So Supervisor Hopkins.
All right. Can everybody hear me if I just project? Is that okay? Maybe I'll turn this way so that not facing the back. All right, I am going to start with the things that are sort of more simple, and I will end with a more detailed update on the Estero. And also, even though he is not county staff, if Ryan or anyone from Wildlands wants to add as a county partner and share any updates on your end, you'd be more than welcome to do that. So quick update on Sonoma County AAA, which is not the AAA for your car, but rather the Area Agency on Aging. Want to provide an update on coastal seniors, which has been a really top priority and concern for the North Coast. We are now at a point where joint monitoring with Mendocino and Lake County AAA was conducted successfully last October and resulted fortunately in only minor findings. Sonoma County AAA made the recommendation to move forward with a contract. Sonoma County AAA requested and received waiver approval to move forward with the Coastal Seniors contract in November. And so Cody Milner met with the chair of the Coastal Senior Board in December and started contract negotiations for a fiscal year 25-26 contract. And the most recent conversation with Coastal Seniors was on January 7th with their new executive director to bring him up to date on the contracting process. So at the current moment, Sonoma County AAA is waiting on information from Coastal Seniors to continue the process. But the last touch point was just a couple weeks ago. So that is moving forward. West County Service Center, which is located in Guerneville, has expanded hours and will have expanded hours going forward. That started on January 12th. Our services navigator, Lupe Catalan, will be there Monday through Thursday from 9 to 5, helping folks navigate county government. You can approach about anything. Obviously, safety net services are top of mind, but we can also assist with permits or, infrastructure concerns. It's really kind of a one-stop shop for if you're having challenges with county government, we will help to try to navigate. Medi-Cal and CalFresh assistance will be available from 9 to 5 on Tuesdays, expanded from only in the afternoons. And Human Services will continue to provide assistance with the cash aid program on Thursday afternoon. We also do have a small food pantry, as well as a clothes closet that includes adults as well as children's clothes. So if you know of anyone who needs it, send them on over and we will take care of them. Also really excited to announce a program that we've got flyers for over on the table there behind Richard called CLG Assist. This was funded through your tourism impact dollars. So senior citizens, people with disabilities, and single parent households can get 4 hours of free services through the Grayton Day Labor Center for help with house cleaning, light home maintenance, fire fuel mitigation, yard work, and landscaping. So you can find more information on the January newsletter or which is the 5th District email newsletter. If you're not signed up for that, sign up for it so you can get our updates about meetings and programs you might be eligible for. And there are also flyers over there. And so this actually, I want to give credit to Lupe Catalan, who is also our services navigator. She hosted a meeting at the Grayton Day Labor Center, and with the downturn in the wine grape industry, we're having a lot of folks who are out of work. We also know, because we've had experience trying to help support people who don't have the ability to, deal with their yard work or their fire, wildfire mitigation. And so we thought, hey, 2 birds, 1 stone, we can put people to work, doing good work for vulnerable members of our community. So that is moving forward. We are also hosting an all MAC meeting. The invitations have gone out for Saturday, March 7th. And so that meeting will be at the Finley Center. And if anyone has any questions, you can follow up with me or Debbie. We've also been getting a few questions about an ag and open space point on a dot on a map on the lavender farm on Seaway, and what is that? And I think that with what's happening, with the parking, there were a lot of concerns about something. There's going to be a new park moving in. I just want to clarify that that is a conservation easement. And so we try to be really transparent. So whenever we enter into negotiations with a property owner, we put it up on that map. Not everything that the Ag and Open Space does is actually just park acquisitions. And so at this time, there actually is no public access proposed for that property. It is just it's an ongoing negotiation with the property owner about a conservation easement, which just prohibits, right, subdivision and development. So I just wanted to share that. We heard some folks, you know, and I think that actually Misty said from the Ag and Open Space District that she'd gotten a few emails about that as well. Okay, now moving on to the Estero. And so I want to start off by saying that the map that we are sharing tonight is hot off the presses, and it is a draft map, and it has not yet gone to the Bodega Harbor HOA. In fact, I don't think that they've ever seen it. So I'm kind of jumping protocol here, but I wanted to get the information out to as many people as quickly as possible. I want to honor and recognize the challenges that everyone has been facing with parking. They give me PTSD from many community meetings and challenges that we had in the Lower Russian River, where suddenly some quiet little beach that no one had ever really spent a lot of time at besides locals before suddenly got discovered overnight. And the next thing you know, there are tourists parking in people's driveways and parking on both sides of roads that really were not fit, you know, to be able to actually have parking, because we don't have curbs and sidewalks, guys, right? Like people are just parking everywhere. And so what we are trying to do is what we have done in those situations. Our first sort of, you know, point as always, you can never park within a certain distance of the center line of the road. Well, none of our roads have center lines, so there goes that. But even if we send out sometimes we can send out a surveyor and actually put up automatic no parking signs. The current width of the road does not allow us to do that. So in order to actually prohibit parking in certain areas, we actually have to take it to the Board of Supervisors and adopt it as an ordinance. And I want to give a shout out to Beth and some others who have been working behind the scenes on this for a while. And we probably don't have enough copies of the map for everyone, but please just kind of share them around and pass them around for folks to look at. And we will also, you know, maybe make sure that we can have this available somehow online so that folks can look at it as well. Again, I want to emphasize draft map, not final, but I want you all to be able to, hopefully in your public comments, even provide feedback on this map if you want to. So the other thing that I have worked on is that assuming we can get community consensus around this map or another version of this map in the next few weeks, we can get it to the Board of Supervisors in March, which if you know government, that's like lightning fast. So, but I want to really make sure that we get something in place well before summer, because even once the Board of Supervisors adopts it, we then have to go install signage, and then we really have to coordinate closely with CHP on the enforcement piece too. And that's been one of our challenges in the Lower Russian River, is that you'll have signs up and people will park there anyway. And so, but word gets out quickly. So if you do a few stings with CHP and they know that someone's watching and that, you know, suddenly someone's posting to Reddit or whatever, All Trails, you know, make sure that you park in the right place. Word gets out and people actually do start to follow the law. So that is the good news. The other thing that I wanted to acknowledge is that, you know, it's a really challenging thing, public access, because to John's point, you know, I think there was a request for I think to you know, controlled and managed access. We ultimately cannot control public access because it is public, but we can work very hard to manage and to mitigate the impacts to the neighborhood and to ensure that we're not having public safety impacts in particular. One other update that I wanted to give was that we did actually have Sonoma County Fire District drive an engine through, and at the time that they went through, they were able to get the engine through. I know that we're not in an ideal situation, and I want to look into the ambulance incident that John referenced, but it's very much on the minds of our public safety agencies. And I also heard, and maybe Ryan can add a little more on about this, that there were actual folks from Wildlands out there trying to help manage things as well. So I don't know if there's anything that you guys want to share or
Certainly,
if you want to come up.
order of process.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just you're gonna be folded into my county update because we don't have it on the agenda. So you're just gonna be as a county partner coming and sharing a little information. So if you wanted to come up and share a few bits of information. And then we will take questions from the map.
Okay.
And then we will go to public comment and questions, which we can actually have on this item. And then we can also then address and respond to those questions. So if you want to just share a little update.
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ryan Berger. I'm the Sonoma Coast Preserve Manager for the Wildlands Conservancy. That's Jenner Headlands and the newly opened Estero Americana Coast Preserve. I'm feeling like I'm probably the popular guy in the room tonight, my guess, and I'll be up here answering quite a few questions, which I'm happy to do. I do want to say thank you to the community members that I did have a conversation with over this past weekend. We were responding to a moment, and it was a big moment. I completely understand, as Linda had said, it was overwhelming, and we were trying to be there to meet that moment and to do the best that we could, helping with the parking situation. We were there at the front gates, making sure everybody was parking on one side so that those pinch points wouldn't happen. We know that that was just an immediate response. It's not a long-term solution to any of this, but I do appreciate those conversations. They were calm, they were understanding, they were respectful, and I'm hoping that we can continue that dialogue as we find long-term solutions as well. Some of the other things is we're gonna bulk up staff. We don't know what this is. This is kind of a perfect storm moment, right? With why so many people showed up. It was terrible weather during the holidays. We got this great weather afterwards. The news article hit and the surf broke at the mouth. So all the surfers were there, and then it just gained all that traction because of the amazing weather and the beautiful place that it is. It is very important to us to also manage the conservation value of this. This is a huge thing. It's why we're here, is for the protection of these lands, but we want people to come out and enjoy them so that they also want to be part of the solutions and help protect. We're going to be meeting with a lot of our partners, so we don't have say over a lot of what we can and cannot do, other than people coming onto the preserve. We do have a recreational covenant on the preserve, so that's bound by the Ag and Open Space District to open it up to the public free of charge. We have a conservation easement, which means there are certain things that we can and cannot do as well. Conservation being the highest value, so we need to revisit with our partners on the amount of visitation and what we can do to limit some of that. And I'm blanking on one other thing. We have developed a working group though. So from the start, from before we even opened the preserve, we brought the right stakeholders together so that we could talk about this traffic management plan that is moving forward at this point. And so we feel like we're the catalyst now. See this, because I know that prior to this weekend, in all the years past, however many years you all have been living in the community, that there's been traffic issues there, and that there hasn't been appropriate signage or red striping on the curbs, and it's caused a lot of problems in the past. So my hope is that we can come up with a lot of solutions. A lot of things are on the table. I don't know what we can approve of right now, but we'll listen to them. We'll bring them to the working group, and we'll try to find those solutions moving forward. I think that's it.
Awesome. And then I think I also maybe forgot to mention one of the most important things that is that we also have scheduled a town hall for Wednesday, February 25th, right here, same time, slightly different, or same place, slightly different time, 6 to 7 p.m. at the Bodega Bay Grange. And that was because we just couldn't get everybody together on short notice to make sure that we had public infrastructure there. We're going to reach out to CHP. Really appreciate Wildlands being here tonight. Hopefully you can make that time and date in February as well, and just and also have regional parks who just has a lot of experience mitigating these kinds of issues. And to follow up, we have actually experienced, unfortunately, this kind of perfect storm before. During the pandemic, you all, if you've been to the Grove of Old Trees, right? You know how terrible and tiny that road is. Sort of similar situation. It got discovered and it blew up on social media, and everyone was going there, and it was a huge, huge thing. And so we do have things that we can do to try to mitigate this and make sure that emergency vehicles can get through, people can get out of their driveways, and that we're enforcing those traffic laws. So with that, I would entertain any questions via the chair from the MAC, and then we can move on to public comments and questions.
Great, thank you.
I have a question. I just hope that.
Let's give Jenny the mic.
I don't know if I should start dancing to that music.
Do it, Jenny, do it.
So I have a question for whoever's working on this plan to manage it, that they consider looking into a reservation system or who is going to be responsible for the enforcement, because unless many people are going to be present all day long, every day of the week, that the, suggestions can sometimes be ignored when the parking fills up. So
I can take the second one, and then maybe we can, I think the first one, and then I can response, but one of the biggest challenges in unincorporated Sonoma County is the alphabet soup of enforcement and everything, right?
Sure.
And so we have our awesome coastal deputy, Jeremy back there. It is not his job to ticket cars. We are saving him for the more urgent, things.
I guess
So
I'm
it's
not familiar with that.
yeah. So it is California Highway Patrol. And so essentially we all need to lobby them, and I will do this and my office will do this. And we will reach out to our state representatives to do that, and we will work with them on coordinated, targeted enforcement as soon as, and I would say that we should start this as soon as the signs go in, because that will set the tone, right? They're not gonna be there 24/7, 365, but we have found that when they go in and they do kind of like stings, word gets out, usually via social media, that people are enforcing. And so that is a route to enforcement.
Enforcement, would that include ticketing?
Yes.
If I can,
But if,
so you're absolutely right. It's not usually the sheriff's office responsibility to issue parking citations. But this also isn't like a normal assignment in the neighborhood.
No,
So I am more than happy to go out and enforce parking sites for the folks at the harbor to along with CHP. I'm sure CHP, and the issue with CHP now is that they don't have resident post CHP officers out there anymore. So my contacts kind of are starting to float away, but I still have that reach where I can get a hold of them, obviously. But I will be going for there more often than not.
Okay.
Site once those.
thank you for that. And then if that doesn't work, maybe a drone that stays around and.
I'm sorry, the county's getting out of the drone code enforcement
Yes.
business. I'm not going there. That's a really big deal, Jeremy. So I just want to
Thank you.
acknowledge, like, that's a huge deal. Thank you so much.
just a follow-up question. So based on what you've shared, if residents have an issue, who should they call for enforcement? Is it CHP or is it you, Jeremy?
It should be CHP, and a lot of folks maybe in this room, maybe not, have already reached out to me this last weekend.
And are you keeping track? Do you have a record of the number of calls and complaints you've gotten relative to this issue?
No, but I would.
Well,
Yes.
I would certainly suggest that this should be recorded in some way, shape, or form.
And there, it is kind of through our CAD system or.
Okay, that's great. But I think that this issue is not going to go away. I think that, and I do want to thank you very much, Linda, for making the time to be here and for head-on addressing a very tough issue. What I'm going to say is probably not terribly popular, but the examples that you cited, Russian River, the Old Grove, those were not planned or permitted projects. The issues that we are experiencing were raised multiple times in multiple forms, including written commentary to both the Planning Commission and the Coastal Commission, and they were dismissed and ignored. And if they hadn't been, we would not be sitting here this evening talking about this. So my observation is there is a fundamental flaw in the county planning process because a number of these residents were here at a number of hearings, and there is a ton of written testimony and written comments to the planning department citing exactly this issue, exactly the issue of enforcement, exactly the issue of fire protection. And those issues were absolutely ignored. And the county, forgive me, my opinion is the county was complicit in this. They chose not to have public hearings. They passed a consent motion to pass the buck to the Coastal Commission to deal with it. The Coastal Commission had one public hearing where it was the vote. So I understand it is a complicated issue. What I'm interested in is three things. A short-term solution. It is not about 30 or 45 days. Because a short-term solution doesn't take in, a longer-term solution does not take into account the risk of a major event or an injury or a fire or something like that. So this shouldn't, we should be talking about an immediate short-term solution, 72 hours, 1 week, but to get a group together to start a discussion about a plan for now 5 weeks from now, just seems to me to be imprudent, and it puts the county in, I think, a terrible position of liability because this is now a very clear known hazard and risk. I do appreciate, and I'm not yelling at you, believe me, I can appreciate the very challenging job you have, but as a member of the MAC, as a resident of this community, as a taxpayer, we shouldn't be here. These issues were apparent well before the process was approved. There is something wrong and broken with the process. The second thing is you referenced the Lavender Farm and it's a conservation easement. I would just point out when the Wildlands took, or I believe Ag and Open Spaces took possession of the Estero Ranch, that was also a conservation easement with no plan to develop it into a public park. So there is that issue. I take you obviously at your word and with good faith that it is just a conservation easement, but that is not a guarantee there will not be major development a la the Wildlands Estero Preserve. So as I said, I've got three issues. Short term, what are we doing in the short term? What will happen over the next 10 days? That's a question. The second is, who is actually making these decisions? How do decisions get made? Who is the ultimate authority relative to the questions that are likely going to be raised? And the third concern I have is that, yes, I appreciate this, and this is lightning speed, and this is wonderful in the sense of no parking. But again, this is months and months away. The larger issue that I'm concerned about is what is the longer term solution? If we continue to see this number of visitors, and I absolutely would acknowledge that it is an unusual confluence of events, but we were also told this would never happen. Well, it has, and it will happen again. I think there has to be a focus on a longer term solution as well. And that obviously is a complex process. If that had been done again, when the application was in front of the county and the Coastal Commission, we wouldn't be here. Sorry, it's not really a question, it's more a statement, and I apologize for that. But I am concerned that the process of permitting these projects is terribly flawed.
Was there any response?
Yeah. I wanted a clarification on your question, which is who is in charge of
Who's in
making
charge?
what decisions?
Yep.
What decisions are you referring to?
Well, parking.
Okay, so parking, the no parking ordinance is the responsibility of the county. And I would describe it as a months, not months and months. I feel like
Okay,
months and months is like
that's
more
great.
like four. We're looking at, I mean, I'm
That's fine.
hoping like early March.
Great.
And that was partly why the timing of the town hall would work, so if there's any kind of like last minute, this is a no-go, you hate this parking plan, that gives us an opportunity, right, to last minute change it before it
great.
goes to the board.
Thank you.
We just kind of heard about, where the enforcement responsibility lies. The other, property management is Wildlands. And then it does go through either the county and the Coastal Commission or the Coastal Commission. And to your point, we did choose to sort of consolidate that process, which is actually sort of historically what we've done for many of these kinds of projects. And one other thing that I wanted to add was that there actually is, I would say, a parallel Patterson Point Preserve, which is in Villa Grande, was funded by the Ag and Open Space District before I got on the board. And that one was fine until it blew up, and then suddenly we had emergency parking. And so that was also something that would have gone through county processes and still came out. So there sometimes are things that do throw you more of a curveball. But I do appreciate that constituents raise these concerns.
And as I said, I do appreciate you being here and listening and the action that's already been taken. I do. I want to thank you. I know that there's a degree of emotion here, but it is frustration because, as I said, this was all on the table multiple times here in this room, Linda, with you, where you said there would be public hearings. The only public hearing that occurred was at the decision point of the Coastal Commission. So, as I said, I think there is something wrong with the approval and planning, the planning and approval process. That's my
appreciate
personal
the feedback.
perspective.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yep. I guess I didn't even have to that.
Is this working?
Yep.
No.
Nope.
Just move that one switch.
It takes a second to light up. There you
Oh,
go.
thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Linda and Ryan, for coming to listening to us. I just have some clarifications. I believe when John Laughlin is talking about the hearings, it has to do specifically with the consolidation of the coastal permit and the permit Sonoma Act, past that point, there weren't any hearings. Then we were promised hearings. I think that is what he was referring to. And I also want to clarify regarding the acquisition of the wildlands property. And again, this is before this happened, just before I came here, so work with me and help for some clarity on this. In the very beginning of that process, before it actually happened, probably a couple of years before it happened, it began as a conservation easement. And it took years to get it to where the property actually was funded and changed hands. Isn't that correct?
Sonoma Land Trust and Ag and Open Space led the acquisition efforts. But because they don't do public access, they handed it over immediately to the Wildlands Conservancy, and then we started making plans for public access at that point.
Okay, thank you. And I believe the meeting regarding the conservation easement on the lavender farm is occurring concurrently with this meeting. So, and I think I think it's in the very, very, very beginning stage. I may be wrong, but I understand why there may be concern.
Okay.
Just wanted to pass that on.
Okay, question for you though. So I was on the phone with Misty Arias from Ag and Open Space this afternoon, and I was not advised of any public meeting about the lavender farm. So do you know what that might be?
I think it's agendized on this evening's Ag and Open Space meeting. Again, this is just this is coming secondhand to me.
Okay.
So,
Might be
and if it's in the very, very beginning stage, I mean, how much of an item is it gonna be or not?
Yeah, or maybe it's part of like a consolidated packet would be my guess, because I felt like she probably would have given me a heads up if it were actually agendized as a standalone item.
Got it.
Well, we can look into that and follow up with.
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify, so when I say just a conservation easement, that means not acquisition, where this was acquisition and an easement, so there's a difference there, right?
Yep.
Where there is no proposed change of ownership. And actually, it was a result of the people who have the next generation of that property owner reaching out to the district to say that they wanted to sell their development rights to really help keep them on that land. So that's where that originated. And absolutely, could plans change 5 or 10 years from now? They always could, but I want to say that at this point in time, there is no plan for public access to be part of that conservation easement. And there is no plan for acquisition of that property.
And I don't know, the Estero Preserve also has a recreational covenant, and I don't know the
Yes.
timing of that, but that was bound by taxpayers' dollars and getting the public onto the landscape.
Yeah. And that's what we can't do with this. Yeah.
Any questions from the audience on this subject to Supervisor?
So we're gonna ask that you come up to the podium to ask your questions so that the meeting owl picks you up.
So, yeah, if you just step up, introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name's Bob Podolak. I live on Oyster Catcher Loop. I'm a neighbor of the Estero Americana. And I really think it's important that you understand what I mean by neighbor. I'm a next door neighbor to the Estero Americano. It's not like you should talk, when you're talking to the neighbors of the Estero Americano, you talk to the HOA of the Bodega Harbor. 80% of those people are not impacted by this traffic. And it's the people who live on these red designated roads. These roads right here are the ones that are impacted. So we are impacted.
Sir, do you have a question?
Michael, yeah, my question, I have a sort of,
Okay.
it's leading up to a question.
Okay, because we're gonna go into public comments here shortly. And if you'd rather do it during that time, but.
This is specifically a question to talk to Supervisor Hopkins and ask her about her presentation.
Okay,
And then we'll go.
I have
Yes.
a very specific question to Ms. Hopkins. Do you believe that red curb striping is going to address the issues of being a good neighbor of the Estero Americano as managed by the Wildlands Commission is going to be answered by those red curb markers? Because it's going to answer a traffic issue only. It's not gonna answer the incredible influx of people that are coming into our neighborhood. It's not gonna answer the impact on the nature and the environment that is going to be of the Estero. None of that answers that. The key question, as I see it, to Ryan, is when the rubber hits the road and you need to manage those people, what plan do you have? Because it's, what I can see is, it's not, you're not managing it at all. It's unmanaged, not managed, it's unmanaged. And I would just make a statement that opening new lands to the public the right way is the Wildland Commission's mission. This work involves, these are your words, the Wildland Commission's words. This work involves far more than building a trailhead. It requires careful navigation of complex planning, resource study, and permitting processes in close collaboration with tribal communities and neighbors. We strive to frame the best possible outdoor experience and to ensure that access is safe and sustainable. We're also cooperating closely with neighbors. Make no mistakes about it. That is us, and we were not included in this. We will use the Wildlands Conservancy's own words, and that's what I'm trying to say is not, this does not in any way, shape, or form approach a shared vision for managed use by the public.
Thank you. Sir, do you have a question regarding
Just
this?
strictly a question, or can I make a couple of comments and suggestions?
Well, how about this? Let's move on to the public comments time. I would ask, can I have a show of hands who wants to do a public comment about this issue? Okay, thanks. Anybody who wants to make a public comment about something else? Okay, just to make, since I want to get everybody on this with the road issue in the same place, I'd like to hear first the comments about you have about something else. Please be respectful of the audience in your time and make your point. And then we'll move on. Who are those two people? And then we'll move on, and the people who want to discuss this issue will do that.
Well, what about online comments? So how many people do we have with their hands up for online comments, Debbie?
Tracy's monitoring that. Tracy?
How many minutes?
2 minutes,
2 minutes.
please.
And
Give you a warning.
yeah,
I only see one hand raised online.
we'll wait, they're gonna be last.
And then share, I'll just take down all the questions that people can include as part of their comments, and I can answer the questions all at the end. Does that work for you?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so who was it that had something else they wanted to talk? Yes, sir. Mr.
Hi.
Range,
Yes, I'm the,
please come up
You
here.
need to come up to the meeting, Al.
So the owl, see you.
Podium.
yeah, I'm Jim Moore. I'm the president of the Grange. Welcome. You might have noticed our kitchen on the way in. That's a 6-year-long project. About $500,000 in community raised funds that has resulted in that. And the main issue here is responding to emergencies on the Sonoma coast, having a place where we can legally and properly prepare food for evacuees or people that are just stranded here. And I want to acknowledge Linda's office. We've twice gotten transit occupancy tax funding, a total of $34,000 from District 5.
Thank you.
And also, we have provided waivers to the county for some of our fees. And also, we just upgraded our generator this year, and they provided half of the $20,000 cost for doing that, so the generator is appropriately sized.
Great.
This is also going to be a community resource. It's not just for emergencies. It'll be for legally preparing foods by anyone in the community. It can be a business incubator, and we welcome your participation. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Good evening, I'm George Flores. I'm the Shoreline Unified School District Area 3 representative, trustee for the school district. and we have a couple of important matters I want to bring to your attention. We're recruiting for a new superintendent of school, and input is being received right now for priorities for that person's character, talents, traits, and any recommendations that you might have for that job. Our current interim superintendent will have his contract expired at the end of this school year, and we would very much like to have a highly qualified person. The second important, and if you have input on that, we'd be glad to receive that input. You can direct it to me and I'll give you my email address right at the end of this. The second matter is that of the school budget and the district budget. As a matter of fact, you've heard throughout Sonoma County and actually throughout California that schools are having a very difficult time managing the finances and having to even have drastic measures such as closing schools in order to fit in their budgets. And our district is no exception to that. We're right now discussing the various priorities and alternatives that we might have and trying to create a reasonable plan for serving the students here in this district in the best way possible. We have students that come from all the way north of Gleason Beach, all the way down to Point Reyes in this school district. All of the, much of the Marin and Sonoma Coast go to the schools in the Shoreline District. We have the Bodega Bay School right here that has served this community for decades. And I know that you're very proud of the school and we've done a great job. But in fact, it's becoming very, very difficult to manage the transportation, the school amenities, the various programs that serve the students in the best way possible. Your input on the importance of education for children and what can be done and should be done in terms of budgeting for good education for our students in this district is very much welcome and needed at this time. We're going to be making decisions within a matter of weeks to just a couple of months about what to cut. And so please direct any comments that you might have to either our school principal, Terry O'Donnell, or to me, george.flores@shorelineunified.org. We'd very much appreciate your input, or talk to me after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicely done. Okay, does that do it for the? Okay, the non-stuff. All right, sir.
I feel strange having them back to the supervisor. It doesn't usually work like that.
Excuse me, could those who want to speak maybe queue up over here or
over on this side.
over on this side, just so we have an idea who's, how many we got going? Thank you.
So, good evening. My name is Barry Wallerstein. I'm lucky enough to have a house that's right across from the new gate that has been put up for accessing these trails. But I have to tell you, it is, as it's been described here, it is completely out of control. Sorry to say that in front of you, but it's true. It's not staffed well. I counted personally 250 cars this last weekend on one day where I counted cars. I had an incident where I was leaving and another car was coming into the area. Cars parked on both sides of the street and there was a matter.
Well said.
You're just getting it close to your,
Okay.
is that working?
No, it's not on.
Not.
Okay, now it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, I almost had a car accident. There was just inches from me and the other car, which happened to be a Mini Cooper. There's some cars on both sides of the street and you can barely get by a Mini Cooper, okay? There's also people coming in vans that are Winnebago vans, Mercedes. You look up on the internet, the width of it, it's like over 8 feet wide. So the streets are not designed to accommodate this. Okay, and there aren't enough staff people that are actually working the site. Sorry to say, Supervisor, the county sign that is up directs traffic to half-mile away for the Pinnacle Gulch site where there's a parking lot with 18 spaces. Yet there are red curves painted down near there.
Got 15 seconds.
Okay. I think what's needed here is everything that has been shared with you already. But beyond that, there was analysis that had to be done for the approval of this thing. In terms of CEQA and otherwise, I think that has to be reevaluated for feasible mitigations and compare the data that exists now to what they assumed at the time those were approved. Okay, one last thing, please. There are two counters, one by the county and one by the organizations that's managing this, that are counting the number of people that are going in. No one's counting the cars. You need to count the cars.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Mike Harris. I'll use my outside voice. I don't think I'll need this. I also live in the neighborhood. I live basically around the curve from Bob and Tina and John. So past the access point to the trail. Certainly want to go ahead and underline everything, you know, that John and Bob have said about this. And in addition, my concern, looking at the number of cars that have been there, okay, and it's great. I mean, I'm really happy, Supervisor, to see, you know, some redlining in places where people won't park to keep one side of the street parking. But with the number of cars there, people are not going to park all the way on the other side of Pinnacle Gulch. They're going to come down and park in our neighborhood, okay, and that's fine. You know, look, I was out on the trail there yesterday, okay? I think it's great to have this as a resource. From our deck, we can see the number of people that are there, but the number of people that are there are now gonna come down and start parking on all of the neighborhood streets beyond the entrance to the trail. And so any plan to ensure the safety in terms of parking has to extend all the way down to Oystercatcher Loop and Plover Court. You need to include those in any one side of the street parking plan. The other thing I would bring up, Ryan, I don't know if you can address this, but when I was out there yesterday, there's one, and I understand this is a wildlands area, so you know it's not going to be developed and such. There's one spot crossing a gulch that we were at that had something like 3 very, very unsafe looking logs placed on it. My wife and I looked at that and we said, we're not going to cross here. We're just going to turn around and come back. But one of my concerns would be people who might then, oh, I'll go ahead and I'll cross this. And that's a broken ankle waiting to happen right there. And so I don't know whether it's within the terms of the easement that you're able to do just basic safety checks and basic safety mitigations like bridges over gulches there. And so if that's possible, I would strongly urge you to do that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. This is on? Nope. That was turn it off. No, I'll just talk loudly. I'm Ann Hill. I'm here in town, so I'm not in the harbor, so I don't have an opinion about the parking, except to say from an outsider's perspective, it seems like a parking lot somewhere that's bigger than the Pinnacles. That would be great. Let me get out before the yelling starts. That's just an outside perspective. Two questions though, very quickly about related things. I was, first of all, this is just an example of how great it is that we have all these trails. And thank you for Wildlands, Jenner Headlands, and now the Estero. It's beautiful. I was there a few years ago after you had gotten the easement and so forth. So my questions stem from that. Again, I want to leave the room before the yelling starts, but is there any possibility of access through Estero Lane? Seems like that was a lawsuit. Okay, I'll leave then. But that seems like kind of an obvious, it's something to take the pressure off the neighborhood. Second is, I was just curious about the status of Caltrans the restoration of the gully there. That's it. Thank you so much for coming out.
I'm gonna disappear.
Hi, my name is Charlotte Arnold. I live on Heron Drive in the harbour. Thank you to John, who, in my opinion, summarised the situation very accurately. And I agree with my neighbours. I also wanted to highlight the issue of pushing traffic into the rest of the neighbourhood. If you haven't been to the harbor, please do go and drive around it. There's one entry and exit onto Highway 1. Heron Drive is already overflow for Doran when on holiday weekends and really nice weekends like the last. It's not just the red lines I appreciate for that side of the neighborhood. It'll push all the cars onto Heron Drive. And we have one entry and exit. So I'm very concerned about safety. Where we live, cars are driving past certainly a lot faster than 25 miles an hour. Getting out of our driveway is becoming unsafe. Getting out of the harbor just to go to the post office or get some milk is becoming a nightmare. So it really is a problem for the entire neighborhood, not just the Mockingbird and beyond. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to follow up. There's a very, very short follow-up, and that is, I don't want to yell. I don't want to have a conflict with anyone. I want to be involved in a shared visions as a neighbor. That's what I would like to be.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ray Irving. I live in South Harbor. And just an item that I had heard, Wildlands made a false assumption. The assumption was that they would have access off the sterile lane. All right, the property owners decided they weren't going to give access. But I heard in the 11th hour, and I want this rumor to be addressed, is that they came back and they were willing to give access to the wildland conservatives. So I think that's important. The streets in the harbor are owned by the county. I've been out here for 19 years. The county has not spent a dime on the streets in the harbor. So there's going to be more wear and tear on Heron Drive. There's going to be more wear and tear Mockingbird. So we're going to see an erosion of the quality of our streets. Let's address human waste. I've been following the stories in the Russian River and people accessing the river from private properties and what have you. So right to me, if the cows up there are peeing and pooping, I don't want to see people up there. And the people who live on Osprey are going to start to see people leaving themselves right across from their property or in their front yard. How is garbage going to be handled? As I watched this being played out, I believe I saw that it was going to be the harbor's responsibility to take care of the garbage up there. All right. Policing. We all know that if there's an emergency out here, it's going to take a while for first responders to respond. We're very fortunate that Jeremy is in the area. So what are we going to look at as far as the county up in their budget to have police in there? We sure can't allow the HOA security to handle that. They're not entrusted. That's not their responsibility. We are going to have security issues here. So these have to be addressed. So we moved out here for quiet enjoyment. We're losing that. Now, if this was Pebble Beach, it would not be happening. If this is Fountain Grove, it would not be happening. But we're on the ocean, so I understand that Californians have to have access to the beach. But this was jammed down our throat. It was going to happen within time. We were told we can maybe stay the final result, but the legal expenses would have been extremely obnoxious for the association. So it's just a matter of time. We do want to be good neighbors, but the county has to be good neighbors to us too.
Thank you.
I see erosion of private property values on us. Well, you get the idea.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Hello, my name is Denny Tibbetts, and I think I can maybe offer a few bits of information about Estero Lane. Several of you have asked about it, and so I think it's good for you to be a little bit more informed about what Estero Lane is. Estero Lane, except right at Highway 1, where it is bigger, it's a little bit bigger, but the entirety of it is a single track dead-end road with blind rises and curves that make it not a good road for public access. Estero Lane is It always has been a private road. A portion of it has been periodically maintained by the county. This is something else maybe you don't know, but there is a 1977 Sonoma County judgment to which the Coastal Commission was a party, requiring Estero Lane to remain private. It did not need to be widened or established for public access. There is a 2020 stipulated agreement judgment that maintains the private nature and dictates its use. Now, besides all the legal nature and aspects concerning this lane, it just simply, it is not suitable for public access. You would have problems. People would be in ditches, it's just not suitable. So I hope that kind of helps you understand a little bit more about what a sterile lane is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll use my outside voice. Can you hear me? I'm Tina Podolak, also from the South Harbor. Thank you for being here. I would echo everything that has been said about balancing managed access. You're talking about privacy, security, safety, and the quality of our neighborhood and our lives being affected by this. It is not open-ended. It is not free access area. Today, there was an article in the paper about Yosemite, and because of the cutbacks and all the Park Service employees, people are going in without having to pay because nobody's collecting money at Yosemite. People are flying drones everywhere. They're jumping off cliffs everywhere. And we see this in a different light in our neighborhood. People are climbing our fences to get to the Short Tail Gulch. Signs that say no entrance, private property. People go under them, they go over them, they go through them with coolers, chairs, children, beach, items. So it's a concern. It's a real concern. I'm concerned about the habitat that's being disrupted by this many people. The cars are a problem, but also the number of people is just really concerning. One bathroom at the farmhouse, one bathroom at the Estero, pretty far apart, a lot of people. So I am in support of a balanced managed access. I'm in support of a cooperative vision, a shared vision between the neighborhood, the county, the Wildlands Conservancy. And I have a couple suggestions real quickly. I'd like to see whether or not you can't have reservations online to access the trails. A permit and access so that we can restrict the number of cars and people that come in. And I'll leave it at that.
No, I'd like to hear the rest of the suggestions. I think this is helpful.
Okay, locking gates. I was told the gates were not being locked right now at night at dusk. And I think that's a concern in terms of.
Are they being locked or not?
Well, it's here.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I saw a plaid shirt, wrong plaid shirt. I'm sorry. Can you address that?
We have the ability to lock. We have not locked it just to. Yeah, but we haven't had people on property at night, from my understanding.
People are not staying on the paths. We've hiked it. People are all over the place and dogs are all over the place. And so, there's a badger that lives up there on the hillside. There's all kinds of nesting birds and the dogs are just flying all over the place, disrupting that. That's part of the managed, it's staffing and it's enforcement. So I think that we need to have a shared vision that respects our private property rights as well as public access to this land.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You have something?
Two things.
Good evening. Could you introduce yourself?
My name is Justin Lindenberg. I'm a resident of Monterey. I visit the coast often. 2 points that I'd like to make is we have an acute problem in Sonoma County. There's a lot of public funds that go into creating public access and public land. It's super important for everybody. When that public money goes in, the condition is that there is public access. It's an incredibly difficult thing to provide with the limited amount of parking lots that we have, the private property rights and the complexity of negotiating with lots of different stakeholders, neighbors, all those things. So I would encourage people to be solutions oriented. There's places like Chancellor Ranch, there's Monterey Redwoods. If either of those places got in the front page of the San Francisco Chronicle or the New York Times, we would have this problem there. So it's not just you, let's be solution oriented for the problem as it exists as a whole. I would really encourage that. I personally am a proponent of more parking lots. We need more parking lots. We need wider roads. For the residents of Bodega Harbor, you really need more than one entrance and egress point for the public safety of the community, in my perspective. Second point. 5 million gallons of sewage got spilled down the Russian River. Nobody's talking about it. I wish there was the degree of concern that there is around this issue. For that, it was raw, untreated sewage. It was this infiltration to the sewage system, and it's an ecological disaster. I hope that people are concerned about these things as well. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Online.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Tracy, do you want to invite people online?
Lisa,
Are we gonna be-
please unmute to speak.
Hi there, am I unmuted?
Yes, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to start by saying thank you, John Laughlin, for your comments. There's nothing I can say that's as articulate or complete as what you were able to communicate tonight. I'm a resident of South Harbor in the Bodega Harbor community. It's not an issue of not in my backyard. I absolutely wholeheartedly support access to the coast. There's been a lot of discussion tonight about parking and traffic. These issues are so much more complex, and it goes so much further than parking or traffic or even impact on emergency access. We've been having these discussions internally amongst residents of the harbor for over 5 years now. And every step of the way, my neighbors have written letters, emails, we've attended meetings, we've spoken out, and every step of the way, we've been ignored, dismissed, and disrespected. John is absolutely right. All these.
What happened?
I'm sorry, Lisa, that was a mistake. I meant to lower your hand. Go ahead.
We need,
I'll
we
add
need
back time.
There you go. I'll lower my hand. Okay.
There you go.
What is it? Lisa Beatty. Lisa Beatty? Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
Lisa Beatty. Yes, thank you. So anyway, every step of the way, the residents up here feel like we've been ignored, dismissed, and disrespected. And John was absolutely right. There's been very little public comment period. We raised all these issues. They did traffic counters. We were assured that no more than 40 cars a day on average would be impacting the area. The infrastructure here is just not designed for that. You've heard from people that live on Heron Drive. People speed by every day. The pavement is not up to handling that volume of cars. There's absolutely no restroom facilities. We ask for trash facilities. I just could go on and on. But again, I can't repeat everything that John said. I'm all in support of free access to the coast, but I think there needs to be a reservation system. It can be free, it can be online, it can be mail-in, but somehow they need to monitor and limit the number of people that come to access the Americano through our community. We went up there over the weekend, my husband and I, and we walked part way up. I was appalled. Every spring, there's a badger that digs holes down just outside the access gate. I don't know if that badger will be back this year or not, but I'd be shocked if it is. There were people standing on rock formations. It's not my property, it's the Wildlands Conservancy, so I can't dictate what people do, but I was appalled that people were off trail, standing up on the rocks up there. Previous to this horrible weekend, we saw people obviously from out of the area walking up to cattle grazing. Again, not my livestock, not my problem, but people were walking up to take photographs with cattle that were grazing up there. So There needs to be a lot more policing. The Wildlands Conservancy Group needs to be accountable and take responsibility for the people that they're inviting up. And it's not good enough to me for you to say like, oh, social media, let's blame it on social media because there've been all these advertisements.
Okay, you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Sorry about the mistaken mute.
No worries. Thank you.
I don't see any other hands raised online.
Okay. All right, we're now going to turn it back over to Supervisor Hopkins, who is going to address those comments.
All right, and I'll just use my outside voice as well. Okay, I'm hoping that I got all of them, and if I didn't, feel free to raise your hand. The first question I think was partly rhetorical, which is, will red curb make good neighbors? No, red curb will just help us enforce the parking, and we do need to work on visitor education, which I'm looking forward to partnering with Wildlands on. One thing that we have worked and actually have spearheaded is a kind of North Coast wide and also a Sonoma County specific Leave No Trace campaign to try to educate visitors about how to properly, respect the coast, make sure that, it's kind of, pack everything out. And also, I think there's obviously education to be done about how to not interact with livestock, and we can work on those conversations as well. There was an inquiry about potentially redoing CEQA or the analysis. This was already approved by the Coastal Commission. I don't think that CEQA is ever redone, so I also don't know what that would lead to. If you were to go back and redo the analysis, I really feel like we need to have conversations that are about going forward with solutions and mitigating the concerns that we are currently seeing. Can we count cars? That is something that we actually could do. We do have those little strips in the road, and so if that is a request from the community, we could move forward and ask public infrastructure at some point to get traffic counts out there. I will say that I always get frustrated with traffic counts on all West County roads, because for them, the standard day or sort of like average time would be like Monday through Friday, or like they want to do it on like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And you're like, that's not when people are coming to West County. And so we often have kind of skewed traffic counts because most people are thinking about kind of commute traffic, and we really more experience, as you know, visitor traffic. So happy to follow up on that. There was a question about, can we extend no parking zones further into residential neighborhoods? Absolutely. I think that was you, Gary, is that right? Yeah. And so, yes, and can you please modify the map and send it to us? And then we can also share that. So you can either like literally scribble on it, anyone can scribble on any of those maps and hand it to us, and we can take pictures and give that to public infrastructure, and then also feed it into, because it's really important to also respect the process of the Wildlands Conservancy working with the Bodega Harbor HOA. So we could basically collate all that feedback from you all tonight if you want to do that, or we also have it posted via Zoom. So you could also do this online and like highlight it, where on your phone, where you can just use a little editing function and then email it to us. And then we can collate that and we can share it with a working group and potentially present a modified map if it's desired to be modified by the community, or multiple options at the February 25th meeting. There was also a question, can there be access through Estero Lane? The answer is no. Denny explained why not all of that road is public. It is really just sort of the first section. And as she said, if you think that kind of the roads in Bodega Harbor are in HOA are narrow, this is a different thing. So yeah. Update on Caltrans washout. We can look into that and find out. Caltrans is not the best at sharing timely information, but we will do our best. Another question was, how do we address the entire neighborhood? I think I got into that with please give us suggestions for how to modify the map in ways that don't just create a toothpaste tube. I will say though that my experience, and like I moved here after college and I grew up in San Diego, and I will say that tourists tend to be lazy and they don't like to walk very far. And so, that is, I think, one thing, but I think that we need to create a balance, and we don't want to just squeeze the toothpaste tube and put it someplace else in the neighborhood. But I do also want to acknowledge that people might, there's kind of a limit to how far most people are willing to walk. Let's see, another question about Estero Lane. I think we answered that no. Bathrooms, trash, and additional deputies. I would love to get additional deputies. And one thing that we have done is actually create a parks deputies. And I've actually been having some casual conversations with the sheriff, but it would be really great to get like a coastal parks residential deputy. And, could we look at if any of the parklands that we're acquiring actually have houses, might it be possible to actually house, someone from the sheriff's office out there? And so that is very preliminary conversations. Budget is always the big issue. And we have never recovered from the recession in terms of the number of boots on the ground in the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office. So I've heard a lot of concerns about coastal safety over the years, and I will continue to fight for that because I would love to see more deputies out here. As it is, Jeremy's partner is his canine. I mean, and that's the reality, right? Is that like you've got a long way to go for mutual aid from a colleague. And so I would love to make it more safe actually for our deputies, so they actually also have closer mutual aid. But thank you for everything you do, by the way. All right, next question. The bathrooms and trash. I don't know if that's something that you want to respond to. Yeah, and I would also just mention the leave no trace. You want to jump up and answer that question in real time?
We do have trash recycling and restrooms on site. They're not right at the gate because we can't service those down in that location. They're at the first building that you come to and then down by the mouth of the Estero. For the longest time, and I do have a question to think about if I get some more time, is we've been open for 6 months before this happened. 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, from July to November, and then November, 7 days a week. And I'm really curious that all of our infrastructure, our staffing was adequate. This is a spike, but we have staff on site that are just taking out the trash, recycling on a regular basis. We get the bathrooms cleaned very regularly. Of course, we had a ton of visitors this weekend, and we didn't know that was going to happen. So they were definitely overused at that time. There is another trash can that's at the trailhead of Short Tail Gulch. That's Sonoma County Regional Park.
Can I see a sign for where the bathrooms are when I've been up there?
They're on the map. And then they're on.
Washed out by the rain.
Well, and you can pick them up. We have brochures. So there's brochure holders with maps that you can take. And then on the ballards, that on the signpost markers, we have directions to go to the bathroom.
So Ryan, let me just offer, when you opened up the hill, it wasn't really publicized, but as we're going forward, this wave is starting to build, and it is a special property. So saying that we had this well managed earlier, that is now history.
I understand that. I hear you, but this is one weekend. This is
No,
one.
it's not. We don't know it's out.
It's all week.
I
It's not
understand that
weekend.
it's increased, but.
And now
not
that
a
you're on
weekend.
all trails, if you are a hiker, this is the most important app you have. It is number one. It's now rated as a 5-star hike. I mean, this is not an anomaly. It's not a one-shot deal.
Okay, everybody, thank you.
I do have a question, one last question. There's been a number of, I'm sorry, forgive me, Supervisor, forgive me.
I just want to get through the
Sorry,
questions
sorry,
that
sorry.
I had from notes. Another question was about reservations and permits. I would have to ask Ag and Open Space, but I do not believe that would actually be consistent with the rec covenant and which is what all of the taxpayers paid for as part of the acquisition of this property. And I can say that those kinds of systems do sort of exacerbate the already existing disadvantages and disadvantaged communities, because not everyone can afford one of these, and not everyone, even in West County, as we well know, has access to high-speed internet. And so having those kinds of barriers to entry typically advantages people of means and of time. And you get, families who have sometimes they've driven here all the way from Sacramento and they don't know, and then they get, turned away. And so I just want to call out that actually kind of creates inequities with respect to public access. And I don't know if you have anything to add, but I can check with Ag and Open Space, but I believe that would be inconsistent with the rec covenant. Those kinds of things are typically only allowed as a bridge to full public access. And so sometimes we'll have tours or things of like an early opening sneak preview, but the point is to actually have public access. Anything to add?
I think
Ryan?
the additional layer is the California Coastal Commission. Our coastal development permit is through them. This is something we can bring to the table. We have a working group established with Bodega Harbor HOA board members, with all the stakeholders that are decision makers here. And we will bring that to the table to see what they have to say. We are not the sole decision makers. We cannot say that we can shut this down or create a reservation system without consulting with our partners.
Yeah. And then thank you, Justin, for bringing up the Lower Russian River sewage. I do want to say that I care very much about that. And I don't know if you made it to the last, or were able to look at the last MAC meeting. So this is the Coast MAC meeting for the Lower Russian River. We actually brought in Department of Emergency Management, Sonoma Water and Public Health and had a whole presentation about it. But I know it's not the subject of today, but I would be happy to follow up with you. It's a huge issue, and I've had like 4 meetings since it happened. I'm advocating at the federal level with our lobbyists for funds from the feds. I had kind of an after action debriefing and went out and toured the plant, and I've done another after action debriefing kind of once they've done more analysis to figure out exactly what went sideways. Aside from the part of millions of gallons of raw sewage into the river, which we know went sideways. So with that, I think any other outstanding questions that people remember that I didn't get that you spoke up to and I didn't take the note accurately?
How about the parking lots? Someone brought up that, why don't you add parking lots?
Oh, that was also kind of Justin. And I think, so we don't have publicly owned property that could sort of make parking lots in many of these situations without doing things like destroying sensitive habitat or cutting down redwoods or taking eminent domain over people's property to widen the road. And so Justin is totally right. There is inadequate parking. There's inadequate everything throughout West County, right? A lot of our roads were literally old logging roads, right? And they were never built right in the first place. And in some cases, they're literally sliding gradually down the mountain. And so that unfortunately is the world that we live in, and we're especially limited on the coast in terms of parking, in terms of publicly owned parking. So it's been a challenge, but one that we, are committed to rolling up our sleeves and working on. So
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. That ends the public comments. I would encourage you to come to the town hall at the end of February. We will do our best to get that information out to you. Come and bring your friends. Sir, can I? Sir.
It's Richard Charter.
You're
That's Richard Charter. Yeah.
I sat there and I didn't do it.
Okay. Thank you all for that. Now we're gonna have a presentation, Save Our Coast. Thank you.
Offshore oil drilling. Big topic. We live in such a beautiful place. We take it for granted. But once in a while, it gets overwhelmed. It's about to be overwhelmed by oil companies if we don't take action.
You lower the mic a little bit.
Okay, I was asked to talk to you about where we are right now with offshore oil drilling. A year ago, in January 2025, we had an administration that had set this coast aside forever, permanently with offshore drilling. 2 days before Thanksgiving, slide please, we had an announcement that there would be a 60-day comment period, inclusive of Thanksgiving holiday, Christmas holiday, and Martin Luther King holiday, which shortened the 60-day comment period to about 45 days on a series of slides.
Yeah, and
That's okay. We can do without slides. And the idea was to curtail public input, no public hearing, for what will be 6 federal offshore lease sales on the entire California coast, everything on the California coast. 2 of those are here off of Sonoma County, 3 are off of Southern California, and 1 is off of Northern California, off of Humboldt, Del Norte, Mendocino County. These start in a year and a half. So my job was to work with the cities and counties along the coast to help them participate in a comment period which ends tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm happy to report that the counties of Humboldt, Mendocino, Sonoma, Marin, San Mateo, Santa Cruz, Monterey, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and San Diego County have all now passed resolutions in opposition. That there are 2 Orange County supervisors on record opposing this. We have the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors represented with a letter. And we have the Grateful Dead working on San Francisco, who's running a little late. The Del Norte County Board of Supervisors will take this up, a very strong resolution of opposition next Tuesday. That's the first time northern counties have really weighed in. This is a threat to the economic well-being of our community. You cannot have offshore, we've had a whole series of oils. We used to talk about the 1969 blowout. About every 5 years, we've had a new negligence caused oil spill somewhere on the California coast. Usually the economic damage lasts 5 to 10 years. We can't afford it here.
Slides now, so let me know where you.
And we have a circumstance now. Today I got a letter from Newport Beach. And a letter was passed about 3 hours ago by the Arcata City Council. We're gonna have, I think, about a dozen sits. So we will have, as of next Tuesday, I don't predict, but I would say every single county on the coast of California will join with our governor, our 2 senators in Washington, and all but 2 of our House members. And we're gonna find out whether this is just something punitive, it's a way to get back in California, or whether we can save our coast. We've done it before. The reason we're not having a public hearing here, we believe, is that in 1988, the Interior Department held a public hearing in Fort Bragg, California. 1,000 people testified for 23 hours.
Yeah.
At the point in time that the Interior Secretary in Washington called off the hearing and told them the hearing panel to go home, there were still 700 people signed up to testify. They were listing the body rate play on a flatbed truck on the street in front of the hall that was full of people from one curb to another for a whole block. So they're not gonna hold a public hearing. And there have been a series of what are called people's hearings in Encinitas, Costa Mesa, Monterey, last Friday night, Sausalito, I spoke there. Sunday morning in Eureka. One of the Arcata City Council members went to the one in Eureka Sunday morning. You turned around and got a resolution today for the city of Arcata. So slide, please. We have them. Now we are completely dependent on you. This is up to the people. As of this afternoon, we only had 197,000 comments against this by the public. We expect by the close of comment tomorrow, we will have at least 200,000 comments. We'd like you to help us get to 250,000 comments. And that's why I'm here. I just want to thank Linda. We were redoing our local coastal plan a year and a half ago. And we strengthened what are called the onshore facilities ordinances, specifically the one for Sonoma County, in which onshore facilities for offshore oil here have to go to the vote of the people. And Linda, I was surprised, she said, let's add mining, subsidy mining, and we did. So we have one of the strongest ones in the state. Other communities are gonna model theirs after ours. But I'm telling you that for the next, I would say, 2 to 3 years at least, this coast is as good as gone if we don't fight for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
That's-
Comment, we just comment on this, the address on this card.
Yeah, address on that card. Here's another card. It's called SaveMyCoast.org.
This is super simple to use. You could do it right on your phone. They've made it brilliantly easy.
Right, there's a button, you push the button, it takes you to the comment page. Where you
Brilliantly
can
easy.
add your comments that go directly to the Department of Interior.
Okay, and this only
Chair.
until tomorrow night.
You allow questions,
It's
people in an organized
Yeah.
fashion.
7:59 Eastern Time,
Right.
Friday, January 21st, tomorrow night.
Thank you very much, for, coming. We appreciate it. Now we're gonna move on to some really exciting administrative stuff.
I think there are some people that, are we gonna allow questions of our presenter?
Mr. Presenter, Richard, are you interested in taking some questions?
I'll take questions.
Okay, if you have a question, could you raise your hand and he will call on you?
Yes, I was trying to be brief because this business about the Estero, you know, Big Canyon Bridge, we have these big servers, it's having the same problem. Internet over visitation. And Utah, There are several locations that are being overrun by internet-driven visitation. Sonoma, Arizona, there are places that were out in the middle of nowhere that are now covered with stacked up rocks. This is a problem our society needs to address, but yes, questions, please.
It seems like we've been down this road before on this offshore leasing. In the sixties, I was involved in cleaning birds from the Chevron spill.
Yeah.
But I believe these leases have been offered up before, haven't they? And were not taken up? Weren't these leases offered before for sale?
There have been a series of attempts here.
Yeah.
Each time it's been stopped. A coalition of local governments, which I was privileged to represent between 1980 and 1994, held in place a moratorium in Congress that cut off the money for offshore leasing for a gentleman named James Watt. Had a cowboy hat, and he was going to do it right here off the big head. In the course of that local government coalition, we got 4 national marine sanctuaries, including the Greater Farallones here on the coast. The problem is that this administration is ignoring marine sanctuaries, ignoring marine protected areas, ignoring fisheries. It's all about the oil.
Thank you.
Any other questions, sir?
Yes.
Can you add some context to the issue by sharing a little bit more about the ownership dynamics of who's responsible, who can give the leases away, who owns it, and the agencies that are involved?
There is a law called the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act of 1978 that gives leasing authority for federal lands beyond 3 miles from shore to the U.S. government, the U.S. Department of Interior. And that law gives a certain amount of clout to governors of affected states when you're at the comment period where we are right now, and quite a bit of clout to counties, like the county of Sonoma, which passed an excellent resolution along with, like I say, by next Tuesday, I believe, every county on the coast of California. But it doesn't say that it has to do with the comments by the governor and the counties on size, timing, and location. And the governor puts that into the record. The Secretary of the Interior has to respond in writing. But the problem with the Sonoma
Richard, could you move
County,
closer?
narrow Outer Continental Shelf, and really is going to be close to shore.
Can we bring a chair closer to the camera?
Are there
The
any more-
Online can't hear.
Any more questions? Because if there aren't,
Okay.
then you can stay there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. My question, maybe in the weeds, but I sort of lost class where you were talking about, surveying. Like, any surveying that would be done, but like.
The first
I'm
thing you would
trying to
do out
understand
there
if
is
that
called a
would be done.
seismic survey ship.
Yeah.
And the seismic surveys involve blasting, acoustic. It's not dynamite, it's an air gun. It's actually louder than dynamite. The sound bounces off the seafloor, comes back up, and is picked up by sensing devices. And that gives them a profile of where the oil might be under the ocean.
But is that something that could be pursued without leases?
The fishing industry tends to sue every time that's proposed. Because the fish all leave and the fishermen are not allowed to be there, and there's repetitive seismic surveys, one after another. Different companies.
The fish.
And the whale.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Charter. Appreciate you taking the time to come here and tell us about that. That was beautiful. Okay, now we're gonna take a 2-minute recess. So those of you who don't want to hear about the Brown Act and the outreach plan and that sort of thing can depart. I wouldn't blame you. You're certainly welcome to stay.
Just so everybody knows, there is a meet and greet with our sheriff. Sheriff Ingram on February 11th, right here at the Green, from 5:30 to 6:30, so it's an opportunity to
What is the date again? I'm sorry.
11.
Thank you.
From 5:30 to 6:30.
Thank you very much.
I think you want this anyway.
And
You're very. You forgot to respect. Well.
It's something to revisit. It's what it is.
Right, we'll turn this over to Debbie Ramirez. They all ran away.
Thank you. Okay, let me, go back to my screen share page.
Come sit up front.
There we are. Alright, welcome.
You're gonna love it.
25.
It'll make you wanna go arrest.
Take it home and read to the kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
See you later. Thanks for coming.
So welcome to the 2025 Brown Act training. There will be
A quiz.
a small update in a few months. County Council is working on reviewing SB 707, or is it AB 707? New legislation with our area code on it. And that will be available in a few months. I think it will be updated. You also all have in front of you a printout of the Brown Act. That is part of AB 707, is that everyone on a Brown Act board has to be given the actual Brown Act. So now you have your very own copy. And then what the other thing that you have is a advisory board handbook, and that's something that came out of feedback that was received at the all MAC meeting last spring. And it has some outdated Brown Act information in it, and it's currently being updated. And by the next all MAC meeting that's coming up in March, there will be a new one. So you'll all get that, or the new pages. I'm not sure what will work for that. So really, the idea of the Brown Act, it comes from government code, and I'm going to read you the language. The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments they have created. So the idea of Brown Act is that the public's business will take place in public. So that's what all of this is based on. What is a legislative body? A legislative body is created by formal action of another legislative body. So the MAC is created by the Board of Supervisors. So it is a Brown Act body. When the chair of the MAC forms an ad hoc made up of fewer than a quorum, you aren't all voting on it. The chair is just creating it. So that ad hoc is not a legislative body. It doesn't make decisions. It does research, and then it comes back, and then the full MAC addresses it in public. A standing committee, however, would be a Brown Act committee. So if there were to be a committee that had more than a year of oversight, like if there were to be a land use standing committee, which the River MAC did have for some time, then it's a Brown Act meeting, and all the same rules apply. The River MAC dissolved their standing committee because land use issues come up region by region, and it didn't make sense to have one static group of people on that committee. So instead, ad hoc committees are formed. So if an issue came forward that the Coast MAC wanted to review, it would likely be an ad hoc committee, and it would be fewer than a quorum. So right now, with a body of 6, a quorum is 4. So we're limited to ad hoc committees of 3 people, which is new because it's such a large body. Normally with 9 members, we're accustomed to being able to have larger groups for an ad hoc, but we'll staff up and get back to that number.
So are you saying three, which is half, is good enough? You said three, did you mean two?
No, three, there's six.
There are
It
six,
needs to
so-
be less.
It
than-
needs to be less than a quorum, and a quorum is four, so
Three is
three,
less.
so yeah,
Okay.
it's not a majority. And so what is a meeting? You know, this is a meeting, but also under Brown Act language, a meeting is any congregation of a member majority in the same time and place to hear, discuss, deliberate, or take action on any item that's within the subject matter jurisdiction of their body. And so that's, I think we're gonna have another slide where we talk about serially. So everyone coming together in one place is one thing, but serial meetings are when like person A talks to person B, doesn't realize that person B is then gonna talk to person C and D, or some combination of that. And then ultimately, a majority have had conversations about this outside of an agendized meeting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you included in that quorum?
I am not. You can all come to me with your feedback, your questions, any of that. I cannot say, Ginny, what are you thinking about this thing that's on the agenda? Oh, you know, Beth, this is what Ginny thinks about it. I can't even.
That's a key point right there,
Right.
is that,
She cannot comment.
well, you could ask me, hey, what do you think about this? And I can tell you. You can ask John, what do you think about this? And he could tell you, as long as you don't tell him what I said. And you're forming a
Wait a minute.
voting.
But if there are three of us and we're in an email, say, working on like with the ad hoc, let's use this communication plan as an example.
Yeah.
My understanding of that was that we were not a quorum, so we could
Right.
comment on that.
Right.
Am I
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, there's three, and that's an ad hoc.
That's an ad hoc.
And that's acceptable,
because
and
That was set up before, it was on public record that it was an ad hoc. And I was making a comment about John's. What John proposed. But then Beth was on it also at one point.
So
And
in
then-
that
then
case, then it
case, That
becomes,
would become a quorum. And
exactly.
that's not supposed to happen.
No,
It
so
is
that
not.
should be avoided, and that's why when an ad hoc is formed, keep it within
The ad hoc.
the ad hoc.
Right.
Right, yeah.
But
Keep
also-
it should have been, in my opinion, it should have been John and I, and then John speaking to Scott. You know, after the, whatever discussion we would have had, right?
The three of us could have had a Zoom meeting.
Yes,
Now, if it was a different issue, say, my understanding is that you could individually pulse each of these people on a given issue, as long as you did not share that information about.
No, that's a serial meeting.
That's a serial meeting.
Yeah.
That's
that's what you have, that's why I'm bringing this up,
Yeah.
because just to be very concrete about something that recently happened.
And
So
so
that-
we have two different kinds of serial meetings. You have a daisy chain serial meeting, and that's A talks to B, talks to C, talks to D. And then there's hub and spoke. So A talks to B, A talks to C, A talks to E.
Right.
So
Well, all right.
So there isn't any polling outside of a meeting on a topic. If an ad hoc is formed, or if, one member comes to the chair and says, there's this issue that I'd like to bring to the MAC, but working out, well, what would the MAC recommend? You wouldn't go there. Like, you can talk about that an issue exists. That's not a problem, but not deliberation around it. And then you would want to bring it right to the, to
Scott,
an
do you have
agenda.
I want to recognize a member of the audience.
Point. One of the dangers is if the ad hoc, the three of you are in a shared emails chain, and then someone forwards it to one of the others.
Right.
I stepped in that one before, years ago, I stepped in that one.
Yeah.
And then you're, boom.
And you're all of a sudden in violation of the Brown Act.
Right, so that's why we have this meeting every year to remind everybody what the rules are
Right.
and even like hold each other accountable. If you notice something, because I might not be on that email chain and so I don't realize it, so I can't step in and say, wait a minute, you know, this looks like it's a serial meeting.
Yeah.
So for the time being, if there's just think 3 people and then we can celebrate as we bring more members on and we can have more people on our ad hoc committees.
So, but for, say, administrative things that are not issues to bring before the MAC, like, hey, how about we have a meeting, you know, in 3 weeks on Wednesday? Can you, you know, does that work?
So I would recommend letting staff handle those communications in order to avoid any potential Brown Act violation. And for pardon me?
Even the impression.
Yeah, even the impression of it, because really, the Brown Act it feels very cumbersome to the public sometimes when we say we can't answer your question and they feel like they're not getting answers and they've come to this public meeting. And I try to make it a point at MAP meetings, if there's something that staff can follow up with them afterwards, I'll go give them my card and connect with them and help get them get their question answered. And that's the mechanism for that. But the Brown Act, well maintained by an organization, is the basis of developing trust with the community. So knowing it really well and adhering to it, then community can trust that things aren't happening outside of the public eye. And that's the most important thing.
I have another
Yes.
question about that.
Mhm.
So when we want to hold up town meetings and there's more than 3 of us discussing the town meeting, is that a problem?
We would want, yes, right now that is a problem.
Right.
Right now that is a problem.
So there should be no more than 3 people planning a town meeting.
Absolutely. That's gotta be the limit.
Ask Debbie to set it up.
What?
Or-
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the one that's coming up,
Well,
in
yeah.
February, staff is putting that
Yes,
together.
I figured that
And-
because I hadn't heard about it until this morning.
Right.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I don't.
But we've had a couple of little town hall meetings
have.
where it was just the 3 of
It
us.
was just the
That was
3
it.
of us and that was
Absolutely.
okay because we
Yeah,
were.
Because, yeah, and at that time, I think a quorum was 5, because that was when we had more members. We had a lot of people not re-up. So even though they haven't been attending, they were official members, and that's what that's what creates the quorum.
Right.
So, but for now,
3 is.
3 is the maximum that you can have a.
Okay, I just wanted to
Okay.
refresh my.
So,
So let
Yeah,
me
and
ask a
always
question
reach out.
on the meeting that will come up on the 23rd or the 25th.
yes,
It's very likely there will be more than 3 of us back members there. Is that an official meeting?
we can agenda, so there's 2 choices for something like that. We're
Uh-huh.
having a town meeting,
Yep.
a town hall, and, if there is a meeting, you could all go to it, because this is a MAC topic, or it could be a
Uh-huh.
MAC topic. And if more than a quorum wish to attend
Mhm.
and participate, not just stand and on the wall and
Yep.
like observe.
Yep.
Then what we'll do is we will agendize it as a special MAC meeting. It doesn't mean that it'll be set up
No.
in a table
but-
like
no,
this,
but I'm
but
just-
it'll be
it's just- yeah,
agendized.
Just clarifying.
Yeah, so as this moves forward, I will connect with the team, and if we think that more, it sounds like probably there is, right? Because 1, 2, 3.
Well, there's only 3 of us down here.
Right, so
Now,
you-
if Scott wants to come, that makes,
I wanna come and I'll sit in the audience.
okay.
Whatever, I just, again, we don't wanna run into a buzz.
Yeah, so we'll just
I'm
make
just
sure it's
asking.
done right.
Well, and isn't Shay setting it up, or am I wrong?
Che, I think, is the main
Che
point
is,
person
okay.
on it, but that doesn't mean I can't help.
No, I
with
understand. I just wanted to
agenda
make sure
if
that my
that's-
facts
yeah,
right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I mean, it's.
Great. We can
all-
round back to that after we're done
Yeah,
talking about the
And
Brown Act.
we'll just, and a lot of these Brown Act things also, like I give you a brief overview so that
Mhm.
you
Agreed.
know about it. A few of the things are things that you actually have to adhere to yourself and know them. But the other things about like posting the agenda 72 hours before, those are all things I have to do. I go over them here so that you understand the context of it, but you don't have to worry that you're gonna drop the ball on that. So, in terms of agendizing, that's definitely something that would be on my mind as this meeting's coming up, finding out, having Che find out who's gonna be there and making sure that we agendize it if we need to. So now we're gonna just touch on social media a little bit. You can use social media. You may want to put a little disclaimer at the top of your social media page that says, you know, these are my personal, I think there's another slide where I have the actual language, but these are my personal opinions, and it doesn't reflect any other organization. You could do that to really cover yourself, but do not, if another MAC representative posts something, do not comment on it, like it, forward it, emoji con it, any of that.
If
So-
it's something that could potentially come to the MAC.
Yeah, I guess, like if another MAC member gets a new dog and posts a picture of
Right.
it and you're like, oh, that's so cute, I think that would be fine.
Right, but if we were to vote.
Talking about the budget, I mean, the.
Right,
the-
right,
Anything
right.
about
County
county
business.
related or
Yeah, yeah.
anything, yeah, you would not do that. And then, I was gonna jump ahead. Yeah, and you can connect with community members through social media. That is absolutely
Yeah.
encouraged. So this isn't specifically Brown Act, but it's First Amendment. So there's there was in 2024, there was a case, Lindke versus Freed, and it says that in order for a public official to be determined to be speaking as authority of the body, it says, I'll read the official must have actual authority to speak on the government's behalf regarding the specific matter. The determination requires examining relevant statutes, regulations, or established customs to assess whether the speech falls within the official's duties. It's not sufficient that making official announcements could fit within the job description. So you can talk about your opinions on your personal social media. That's what that.
And that's a big change, because a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
it said you can't even go on social media.
Right, so this
So
was
this
new,
is a big change.
2024,
Good,
yeah.
good, I thought. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is answering your question, contacts between representatives and staff. Is not a serial meeting, but the staff shouldn't ask the member, about questions that other members have. And shouldn't share any of that. Attendance at a social or ceremonial event where no business of the MAC is discussed. Community forums. Or meetings of other government bodies. If you all wanted to go to a Board of Supervisors meeting, that's fine. Going to a public conference. The all MAC meeting, you'll all be there, and it will be agendized as a Board of Supervisors meeting. So you're attending a meeting of another body. And it is technically a public meeting. People could go and observe, but it's not.
So we're not
Designed
restricted
that
in
way.
our number of us that can discuss a particular issue that may arise at that meeting. Is that correct? As an example of, we go to this training meeting on March 7th. If all of us are there, we can all sit down and say, well, what did you think of that? And have a discussion about it. That would be
I would
okay?
recommend agendizing a discussion about the all math meeting.
I think she's talking about if we're sitting at the All-Mac meeting
We're at the
and they're bringing things up, we're safe
Yes,
discussing.
and
it.
so
That's the whole purpose of the
who was
meeting.
at it last year? Were
The
you-
three of us,
Yeah,
and yeah,
so-
you were there too.
Yeah,
right.
so you're talking about types of things. You're not deliberating about, it's more, how.
It's process.
It's
It's
more
process,
process,
how-
information sharing.
Yes.
I mean, the
Yeah.
whole.
And it's nothing that's gonna be coming up in our community that we're gonna vote on.
It's also public.
And
it's also a public meeting.
It's a
Right,
public
So if
meeting.
I want to understand how other Macs and bodies do
Mhm.
their marketing plan,
Mhm.
how is it working for them? That's an acceptable use
Yes.
of that, right? But there's no
Yes.
problem with all of us getting together and thinking, oh, that's good, or that's not good, or whatever, right?
Yeah, I would discourage you necessarily from at that meeting, talking about how would we implement this? Just gather the information, take notes, and what the River Mac did was they wanted to have a conversation about it all together, and so they agendized it, and then they were able to talk about some of the things they learned and some things they'd like to implement.
And then they did that in front of the public?
Yes,
I
Others
see.
invited.
They invited?
yeah, it was at a public meeting.
Okay, got it, okay.
And
Yeah.
the fact
So
that
there would
occurred-
be at like the tail end of a meeting, like we're doing now, something like that?
Yes,
Okay.
Right, and it appeared in the minutes. So there was that aspect of the public having access
Yeah.
to what occurred.
Record.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
okay. So yeah, here we are with the noticing and posting agendas. Agendas must be posted 72 hours in advance. Here's something that came up for this meeting. Some of the materials I sent out to you a little bit afterwards because I received them, the draft
Yeah.
community engagement outreach plan. So that's fine. That can be done. We can distribute things late, but if we're distributing anything later than 72 hours before the meeting, then it has to be distributed to the public at the same time. So when I distribute the agendas initially, I email them out to you and I send them to be posted online, but they don't get online immediately, but it's a week out, so it's okay. Anything that's distributed within the 72 hours has to be distributed at the same time. So what I do is I get it processed for posting online, get it posted online. Once it's live, then I send it to all of you, and that's what I do. But it's helpful for you to know that, and I've mentioned before about how the county, this isn't Brown Act, but the county has a policy of remediating all of our documents before we upload them to the internet, to the county website. And what that means is, they are, processed so that screen readers can read them aloud to folks who, are using,
It's
who
accessible.
are vision impaired.
Accessible.
Yeah, so it takes, it depends how busy the ISD department is, honestly. But it could take a day or two, and depending how big the document is, if it has a lot of graphics in it, things like that. So.
To clarify, the 72-hour requirement is met by you posting it on the website.
And on the door of where the meeting is.
Okay.
So I was coming out here on Saturday, so I posted it. I knew you were in Australia.
So then any subsequent posting on a bulletin, let's say, public bulletin, a day later, is still fine.
That's fine. Once it's been, we post it at the Board of Supervisors office. There's a big bulletin board there. So the clerk of the board posts it there. We post it online and we post it on the door of the meeting. So, and then all of you can take it and put it on all the bulletin boards and the more virtual.
Can we put all this stuff on our website? Like the agenda, the minutes?
They are at the very bottom of on the very bottom of the Coast Net. Mhm.
Along
Everything
with the Zoom link, because I have people sometime emailing me, I can't get there. And I want to be able to attend remotely, so I go to the site and say, here, bookmark this so that next time you have it, you have it, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, And that link, the direct link to the particular meeting, I usually send out to you with the agenda materials. But also, if you ever just go to the CoastMac website, scroll all the way to the bottom, all the calendars are there, and then there's some options, so you can go back and look at past ones if you want. Yeah.
Exactly, super helpful.
So for items not on the agenda, there can't be discussion or decision on items that are not on the posted agenda. Members or staff may briefly respond to questions posed by the public. Members may ask staff a question. I would actually recommend let staff respond to questions posed by the public.
Well, but this is really important because, we need to be able to interact with our constituents, right?
During a meeting.
No, during a meeting, absolutely. But what's really important here is to define what can and cannot be discussed. And we can add administrative and procedural. We can't get into the weeds. Is the meeting going to be next Friday? That we can answer.
Yes.
But we can't start a discussion that gets much deeper than that.
Right.
Right?
And well, there should also generally not be back and forth between public commenters. So, if there's someone at doing public comment and they ask a simple question like that, the chair can answer. The chair can ask staff to answer if it's something that maybe, staff would have more of the response for. Or staff can also follow up with the person if it's not just when is the next.
But if a member has the information, they can also, one of us has.
Chair, yeah.
Well, even not through the chair, though, as long as we're not having back and forth, because this is, anything past that, you need a town hall format, and that's the beauty of the town halls.
Right, a town hall doesn't necessarily, have Brown Act.
So I asked Linda two questions, and then I wanted to follow up, but I didn't want to go off on a detour here because it really requires more information. But I heard her reply, but I don't know what all the implications are of her reply, and I want to learn more about that. One of them was on the reservation system and how a reservation system couldn't be done because of certain things related to, I'm not sure what, I guess some.
It was like the easements, the covenants and easement.
So how can we find out the details related to that?
So you can email after the meeting. I mean, I can make a note to get some more information about that for you, but you can really anybody. But especially because you're representing
people have asked me about why isn't there a reservation system? And I think I see them in many parks, and there's a very good reason that they have had to implement that. So I don't know what the difference is exactly, but I want to be able to say the difference is there they can do it because of A, B, C, but here because of B, C, and D or whatever. We cannot. And the same thing with the drones. The comment was, no, there's a drone ordinance of, because we don't have the resources for enforcement. So we have to look at what is a reasonable alternative. When we don't have resources to enforce what we're doing, is there something that might help us get a handle on it?
But your question is about how to get that information without getting into a back and forth.
Correct. And I don't know what the information is about a zone ordinance,
I think this is great stuff to talk about on the 25th.
Yeah.
I would, and also.
But I want to come with more information so that at least I understand it and can ask further questions. But when my preliminary questions are like, I don't know, I don't know.
So Ginny, from a procedural and staying on the Brown Act topic, I would just recommend that you send an email.
Okay.
You can send it to me. You can send it to District 5 at.
Okay.
We'll make sure the right person gets all of that information and shares it with you because, and all of you, if there's something that you're getting, I mean, if you're out in your community and there's something that you don't know how to answer why the county does this, you reach out to staff and we'll get that information for you. And And stuff.
Tonight was an example of a kind of a hybridized, non-agendized, very big topic that kind of shoehorned into Linda's talk, which kind of landed with public comment. How would you critique that? Was that Brown Act or we're just friends?
So it came up during, because Supervisor Hopkins addressed it. The tricky part that we do need to be really careful about and kind of skated on it tonight is council members getting, because it was Supervisor Hopkins' item. And so, it was a county update. She's been hearing from people, so she comes and talks about county update and county staff can come. And that's what happened at the River Map meeting after the sewer, lead. It came up after the agenda had been posted. She addressed it, but the council couldn't get into it right then about how are we gonna, we're gonna they're gonna agendize it in the future so that they can have a discussion about it.
Because you guys didn't discuss it, you just asked Linda, she was the hub. Thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thought process, that's why I even brought it up, because I felt like, well, maybe I don't want to violate it, but
If you're talking to Linda.
Correct, I'm talking to Linda, but everybody's hearing. Right, so it's not a private discussion.
Right.
But you are in public and the topic was her topic.
Yeah, correct.
So you can't talk to each other about it
No, I
and
wasn't gonna
deliberate.
ask
No,
anybody
right,
else.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
because-
So that is, and that's why this kind of stuff is important to talk through.
Right, that's
So
why
that
I
you feel
used this
comfortable doing
example.
it. The first time I was on a Brown Act body, I didn't talk to anybody about anything for a really long time, because I didn't want to break any of the rules. So, but I think the better you know the rules, the better you can, engage with people and help them engage with the system. Yeah.
Yep.
So public comment, every agenda for regular meeting must allow members of the public to speak on any item of interest so long as the item is within the subject area of the body. And we do that. That's not required at a special meeting. So if the town hall ends up being a special meeting of the Coast Map, we don't have to slot in time for public comment for items not on the agenda. That's a regular meeting item.
Yep, got it.
And if there is a member of the public using an interpreter, translator, then they get double time.
Right.
For public comment because of the time for interpretation. And you see, we don't do, interpretation for every meeting by default anymore. We put it on the agenda that if somebody wants
There's a
it by request,
yeah,
then we will book it, yeah. If a meeting is disrupted, the orderly conduct of a meeting is disrupted, then a recess can be called. And there are steps for removing people from the meeting if that has not,
Let's hope
it's not
that doesn't
likely
happen.
to happen. But there are, yeah, we did have Jeremy here. But there are Brown Act compliant ways to,
God forbid.
And
we-
you would have
yeah,
the.
let's hope
you
we
would
don't
have
have
the
The
authority
chair.
To do, the chair,
Mhm.
okay, Scott.
Eat your Wheaties.
Yeah.
Thumbs brushed.
So this is the part that has been changed. AB 2449 that some of you have used has sunset. So we don't have that ability to teleconference anymore. So all there is the traditional Brown Act teleconferencing, which I think we've done once or twice, where it was posted on the agenda, the original agenda. There's 2 locations for this meeting, one at Sea Ranch and one in Bodega Bay. And so that is really the only way right now. It has to be open and public. There isn't a way right now, although with the next update coming from County Council with AB 707, I'm hoping that we're gonna be able to offer that again.
Go back to where we maybe just meet via Zoom.
Where there are some opportunities
There are
to do that.
opportunities, yeah.
But right now, there really
Right,
are
right.
not, but stay tuned.
Okay, and that's due by March, you said?
I think that is going to be incorporated into, I think that is the target date for that information to be available. I don't know, I think then it needs to go to the Board of Supervisors,
Oh.
so I'm not sure when that would be able to start.
And then remind us, how many meetings per year are we, if we miss, are we been ousted or?
That's in the bylaws.
It's a may be removed,
Maybe.
so there's,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so,
It's in May. Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know.
I think we only used that once.
Okay.
I think
So a council member that can't make the meeting can no longer be remote under the special circumstances and vote.
right.
Cannot.
No,
Correct.
that's sunset. That was AB 2449. It ended. But new guidance will be coming out soon and I will.
Yeah,
bring
it is the 21st century. I mean,
Yeah. Also posting on social media, if you're going to, well, if you're gonna share information, the agendas and all of that are publicly posted. Don't put anything on Nextdoor only or a private group only. You can use those groups to put information out. But they are private, so they're not open and accessible to all. So if you are only going to be posting something to one of those types, I would say just don't post it at all, or make sure also that it's posted somewhere publicly that's not a private group or next
well,
door.
well, this does raise a question. What's public and what's private? Facebook.
Like on Facebook, there are subgroups that are public that anybody
No,
can
but I mean,
see.
even, well, oh, I see, yes, but, you still have to create an account. You have to be
Right,
registered. I
but
mean,
there's
it's owned by a
no
private company.
gatekeeper to creating account. Next door, you have to be approved. And that's why,
Media, I would never see it.
But this only pertains again
No,
to,
I'm just thinking about, when we're soliciting feedback, do you have any issues? Or suggesting there's going to be a community meeting.
right,
Not an official MAC meeting, but, there's gonna be a community meeting on this topic. It's at such and such location and all the rest. I'm just, because that,
so.
we have done, and I wanna be sure that we're clear about,
it can be posted and say Bodega Harbor homeowners, as long as it's also posted openly.
Correct.
and I
Right.
got that.
So
but-
what
but
you might
is
wanna
the
do
open?
is
Yeah.
put it on, there is a
Okay.
post map
Okay.
Facebook page.
Okay.
So maybe
okay.
put it there.
All right, great.
Before you put it
That's
anywhere
helpful.
else.
That's
Yeah,
super
yeah,
helpful.
yeah,
That's super
yeah.
helpful. Yep, super helpful.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a forum doing this and one person.
One person can do that, and then the rest of the people shouldn't like it.
Yeah,
And even though if you're excited that there's gonna be a meeting, like
Good.
just,
I get it.
No
Yeah.
commenting.
No commenting or reacting. So next door is not open and accessible because you have to be approved to join. Or if there's a moderator that has to approve you. So,
But again, if
You
it's
may use
posted in some other
Yes.
open format,
yes.
you can still post it on
Yes.
Nextdoor.
Yeah.
Open
Yeah.
format
Yeah,
first.
first, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, kind of like how after 72 hours, I get it on the website first and then I share it all.
Right,
with
so
you.
it should
Yeah,
not
just-
be, you should not post on these, that are. You should not post
Exclusively.
exclusively on these
Exclusive.
before you have it posted publicly,
Yes,
electronically.
Right.
Or-
Great. Got it.
right.
Okay, good. Yep.
So I think
That's
we're
helpful.
wrapping up.
That's helpful. Thank
There are civil actions and criminal penalties for Brown Act violations. The district attorney can file a civil lawsuit for injunctive release or to void an action taken in violation of the Brown Act. Attorney's fees are available for prevailing plaintiffs. There's criminal penalties. But really, the most important thing for an advisory body like this is public trust.
Yep.
And building that, and public trust erodes if there are Brown Act violations. And then, this is just a link to the document that you have, the Brown Act. And then SB 707, if you want to go ahead and read that. Or I will bring the summary once county council has dug into it.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah. The other day I attended a Brown Act meeting. And they wanted to get together with some other related groups that also were under the Brown Act. And they wanted to have one meeting. They said, let's call it a workshop. We don't have to have it public, but if they're talking business and they have a quorum, they must make it public.
Right, it should have been a joint meeting of the two bodies.
Yeah.
And we've done that. We've had joint coast.
Calling it a
River
workshop doesn't get you out of the
No.
responsibility.
It does not. It should have been posted. It could have been posted as a public meeting that was a workshop,
Yeah,
but it should have been posted.
they were advised.
They what?
They were advised.
They were revised?
Advised.
Any other questions? All right,
Thank you. That was helpful.
you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
And any questions, reach out to me.
Yep.
I can always find the answer for you or know the answer, one or the other.
Great. That's great.
Good, all right.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the piece of art that Mr. Weiss has created for us.
A piece of art.
The community engagement and outreach plan. I hope you've all had a chance to read it.
If not, you can skim it pretty quickly. I will highlight the pieces that I perceive
I
as
have the
being.
copies here because I.
And I printed some copies too. I've got
Okay.
extra copies if
Okay.
anybody
I,
needs.
I would like this to be an action item.
Okay.
So,
Do you need one?
sure. I'd like this to be an action item so we can get it off the agenda and put it in use. So I'm gonna let John present it and then answer questions. If somebody has an edit suggestion, this is the time to raise it, other than the typo.
Yes.
And then we will vote on approving it. Subject to, any other tweaks that happen. So go ahead.
So the obviously the purpose is to articulate clearly the MAC's approach to communicating with the public and gathering input, and likewise in some instances what to do with that input. I think importantly, one of the things that we should be using this for, and again, depending on what you think of some of the suggested activities might be, is Scott had a great observation. He said, this really should also serve as a job description for anybody that is thinking about joining the MAC, because it makes some specific suggestions as to what MAC members should be doing as a function of outreach specifically. And so, I hadn't thought of it from that perspective, but rereading it, it actually would work for that quite well, because the introduction in the CMAC mission is an extraction of what has been approved previously for the current mission of our MAC. That was done not too long ago. It covers some basic facts about what communities are represented by the CMAC, under what authority, the CMAC was established, those kinds of things, but in pretty succinct fashion. And then it does articulate the MAC's purpose, duties, and mandated advisory topics. And again, this comes out of the mission statements that was approved previously by this committee. We then get to the specific engagement and outreach strategies, which really are intended to accomplish the mission, if you will. So establish awareness, actively invite a broad range of voices from the community. I'm at the top of page 2 right now. And then soliciting public input. And this is where some of these items are new relative to what had previously been included in the outreach plan. And so I'm not going to reference each of them. I'm just going to reference the new ones, because those very well may be subject to some discussion. Everything's open for comment, but the new things are CMAQ should establish and maintain a directory of locally based community organizations and their respective leaders with contact information to facilitate two-way information sharing and cross-org coordination when appropriate. This directory should be a primary means of CMAQ, both sharing information and soliciting topics of interest, community interest and concern for consideration by CMAQ. This directory should be compiled by CMAQ and reviewed annually for accuracy and completeness. Organizations often rely on institutional memory, and I think, that has largely been effective here. But there is turnover, people come and go, and that memory ultimately can be degraded over time. So this is actually a written, a very simple doc that is just a listing within local communities of, doesn't mean it has to be every single organization, but those that we can identify and who are their respective, directors or managing directors or general managers, those kinds of things. And then, whatever contact information. But I think this would be very useful, and particularly if you're a new member to the organization. So that's an addition. CMAQ members should attend, and Ginny and I had a back and forth, and so I'll defer to you all. CMAQ members should attend one time per month local community gatherings and the meetings of other community-focused organizations to raise awareness of CMAQ's mission and to have CMAQ engage when determined by the council, determined with another organization as determined by the council. This is the issue that to be effective, you need to be out in the community. And I think there are two potential edits here. Maybe people don't like this at all, but if you did,
That's great.
I would say CMAQ members are encouraged as opposed to should.
Yes.
And then Ginny and I went back and forth on the one time per month, but I would say that if we say are encouraged, that gives you enough
Right.
leeway, Ginny, that
And
it's.
there's another comment that I have also pertaining to this and the previous one is that some of the groups within the communities, I wouldn't even say they're really organizations officially. They're groups of common interest.
Right.
Residents, of common interest, but they don't belong to an organization,
Okay.
or maybe they do.
Or
but-
casually organized.
But they're not
Group of
like,
common
not
interest,
like
like-
these are the Chamber of Commerce, or
Right.
this is the Boy Scouts or whatever, or the school community. These are informal, because we are informal and we are rural, and these mechanisms are different here than they are in other jurisdictions, I suppose.
What, again, I'm making the edit here. CMAQ, I'm on the second bullet point. There's- So CMAQ should establish and maintain a directory of locally based community organizations and how did you describe it?
Well, I would just say.
And
And gatherings of common interest.
Or a group.
Groups of
birds of a feather.
groups of common interest.
We call them in technology, birds of a feather, people who are.
Groups of common interest.
Groups
Yep.
of common interest, yeah, and they may or may not have a leader also.
Right, well, and that may be, and this isn't a requirement, it's just if you can identify.
Be a formally organized thing.
Just have the pulse.
Right.
It could be the guy, it could be my Saturday night poker.
That could be, yeah,
Or
yeah, well,
garden.
that counts. There you go,
There
you're
you go.
fulfilling your commitment.
Yeah.
It's a seed sharing.
So
Right.
I've got this edit, so it would
That's
read.
so.
And
CMAQ
may I
should,
ask a question on that second bullet point too about the directory? Is that part of the ad hoc? Will the ad hoc continue and then bring that list to incorporate
well,
with this?
I would
or-
think that it, technically how we do it, I think we'd ask everybody to, their respective communities, come with your list, let's all look at them, what's missing. People may be able to real time say, oh, you missed the school district supervisor. So I think it would, the exchange and the conversation would occur as a function of a MAC meeting or an agendized meeting.
How about this, to make it easy on you all? How about if I set up a form?
Yeah.
And you all fill it out?
Yeah.
And then I bring a printout And then you all look at it,
Yep,
and then
sure.
there's an
That's
opportunity
I didn't get into
note things.
the detailed process piece, but yes.
But I
mean,
wanna make this
yeah,
actually
no,
happen,
I think
so I'll
this would
do
be
the.
super helpful.
Okay.
Right, thank you. Debbie, right, and John, both, we have a similar list at Sea Ranch that someone set up. Not of, but of, tradespeople and companies who do different, because someone's always kind of asked the question, who services wood fire stoves? You know, and it's that there's no, the last person that did it, died, and we don't know who's doing it these days, or whatever it is, who's, who are the good, all kinds of questions like that, but they're all basically, trades and things, plumbers and electricians and, auto repair guys and everything, and so one individual took it upon himself to set up a Google Doc. And what happens is when I go to it if I have a question, or I say, oh my gosh, John's out there doing auto repair and he's not on the list. The one individual administers the list, so it's not an annual, it's just getting updated constantly. Or I call and say, hey, sorry, John sold his auto repair business, he's not, so take him off the list. That kind of thing. And
I'm
it
open
works
to
really
that.
well.
All I would say is let's start, I would just advocate, given this is new and it's another task. Can we, my personal view is let's start with this, and if we can get this working, then let's go to part two, but I like the idea.
And then anybody can input and say, oh, hey, Debbie, I got
Mm-hmm.
a new organization here, I just found out about, do you have them on the list?
Yeah, I'll make a form and that'll automatically.
Populate.
Populate.
Yep,
a
and then we
spreadsheet,
can
a
correct it
Google
and
spreadsheet,
add.
yeah.
That's
I'll do
great.
that.
Okay.
It's really simple.
Good. So the third bullet was CMAC. CMAC members are encouraged.
Suggestion, that wording?
Yeah, sure.
CMAC members should regularly attend local community gatherings. Quantifying it, I agree with whoever was against that, but just say, the point is to be involved. And, should regularly attend, and that's quite open.
Well, are encouraged.
You are encouraged to
encouraged to
regularly attend.
Fine.
Regularly attend is what you're bringing new
Yeah.
to this.
And so, maybe this is a good moment to, have you asked Debbie about membership fees?
No, but that did come up,
Yeah,
Jenny and I discussed that. If you wanna go to the Lions Club luncheon,
Mhm.
say, to meet and greet people, and there's a fee, can that be reimbursed?
I think so. I will look
Okay.
into it.
And some organizations, I mean, it's also possible that you might want to join an organization as a representative of the MAC, and there's dues and that kind of thing. My perspective is, if I'm gonna go be a guest speaker or something at one of these deals to talk about the MAC, happy to pay for my lunch, but I don't necessarily wanna join those organizations, or I shouldn't have to join the organization to, be able to participate, be able to show up. So,
Generally, these organizations, if you're coming as a speaker, they're gonna buy your lunch.
Typically.
They'll invite you.
Yeah,
but if there's
but if you
there's
wanna
a
just
specific
attend certain
example.
things.
I was asked to join the local Chamber of Commerce, but I know they have a membership. And there's two parts of that. One is I would, it's a nominal fee, but the other thing is if I'm going in as part of the MAC, and I'm hearing a lot of business concerns, I don't necessarily want to be biased by other people's, what they're asking for, what I mean? So it's kind of like, there's two parts of that. One is the, trying to be open and
And the other is not being beholden.
beholden,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
and the other, that's why it's makes sense in a way to pay the fee, so that you're not, see what I mean? So, so that's the question I had, I didn't really know how to respond. So I didn't do it.
Membership as a MAP
As-
representative.
Correct. And I don't have
I would
another
need to
reason,
look into
I don't
that,
have another
yeah.
reason to join.
Right.
But if I'm being asked to join because people would like me there, it's a good idea, but then there's this, what is the proper way to manage that?
Okay, that's a good question. I'll need to look into it.
Because, you talk
Yes,
about
you
conflict
can.
of interest.
Well, but you can collect information about your community, you're not in conflict learning.
Oh, that's so much better.
Well, okay, but I just don't know.
But your question is about the money and that.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
will do some
So-
research, Jenny, and get back to you on that.
It's all new to me, so that's why I'm asking.
If the county is gonna be paying for your membership, then I think you have an obligation to attend.
Of course.
Yeah. It
Well,
goes both
naturally
ways,
I
yeah.
would,
yeah,
but then
yeah.
that's that part of it, but then that's on the other end, what are they, I just.
Should want you there.
Huh?
They should want you there.
Oh, they do, but I mean, I'm not going to ask them to waive the membership. If they have that requirement, I don't know how to respond. That's the question. That's why I'm.
That's a good
That's why I'm referring it to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will find out.
Okay.
So I think I've got the edits and we can compare notes.
Mhm.
You're probably better at capturing all this than I am, but I can read my scribbles here.
Could you also on that one, I don't think we need the one-time permit.
No, I took that out.
Okay. thank
I mean, I think there was a consensus that it's just, that's the expectation. The other new one, that that we talked about adding is the last bullet. CMAC members should post and or distribute wherever and whenever possible, a CMAC flyer addressing its mission, members' contact info, and meeting dates. I mean, it seems obvious, but this also sort of forces us to, me anyway, I'll take responsibility for this, turning the mission statement and some of this other material into a leave behind, because part of my view is here, and at least in Bodega Bay, is that while we have lots of longtime residents, particularly in the harbor, there is a fair amount of coming and going, and that people don't know what the MAC is. And so the notion of continuously promoting and educating the public that there is this organization that can be that can be useful. So I added the CMAC members should post and or distribute wherever and whenever possible, it's a judgment call, a CMAC flyer addressing its mission, members' contact info, and meeting dates.
It used to be that the CMAC did a little bit of a presentation at all the board of directors meetings.
Yeah,
So
those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's important for people to understand the mission, because some people think, oh, you can make policy, you can fix things.
Right.
That's not the case. What we can do is listen and bring items to the county's attention through another mechanism.
But a lot of people don't know who we are.
Yeah,
which
no,
is
they
the
don't.
point
And
you're
so
making.
I think this is about
What we do.
explaining.
Right, no, the big problem.
Yeah.
So those are the new, those are the other things have been, I've picked up language either from the existing plan, and I did read 3 or 4 other outreach plans. And so,
No, this is excellent.
so that.
Very
that's
well
what's
done.
good.
Very.
Thank you.
And then the step section following receipt, this I picked up from, both from, the supervisor's charter to the CMAC in terms of how things are supposed to work. It was there. And this is also incorporated in 3 or 4 or 5 different, of the existing plans. So there's nothing new per se, but it is a clear statement of, if there are certain issues, what do you do with them? Debbie, to your point earlier about also, the Brown Act, it's like, okay, go to District 5 staff, if there's an issue.
There's a correction on the third paragraph. I think we talked about.
Which third,
First page.
first page, third paragraph.
Communities represented. The website's incorrect, because I think you picked this up from the website.
I did.
West Cazadero doesn't mean anything. It's Fort Ross. And there's no Kashaya, even though they don't have a record at the moment.
Do we no longer represent the Kashai?
Well, I don't know.
That's
So it should,
currently,
it
that's
is Fort Ross.
currently under.
Review?
Review.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
be on the website though.
Yeah.
So,
I know it still is.
All right, so I've taken West Cazadero out.
yeah,
Okay, great, thank you for that.
you got it. You were good. You got it from a place you need to fix it.
Well, I think that is how the area is named in the bylaws. So we can, and we've done this with the river map before and it might make sense for any of these areas. I think Scott and I have talked about how people don't necessarily apply because they don't know that they live in the area.
Right.
So that's something that we can look at doing. If names, I mean, we could do that as a part of an overall bylaws update if there's other things
Yeah.
too. But if you are in an area that the name of it doesn't make sense,
Right.
Yeah,
we can update that.
And we talked about this when we were forming the map, and that is, where does Timber Cove and Fort Ross begin and end? Where does
Yeah.
Cazadero begin? And end?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really up to the individual where they identify.
How they.
Yeah.
And that's how you determine it.
Right.
But
we have
Caroline
to
would
have-
actually say West Cazadero doesn't, and you would agree, I think, doesn't mean what we think it means.
Yeah.
It's Fort Ross.
It's
Right.
that red house, that pine tree by the red house.
Well, there used to be a red house.
They used to, but now it's yellow.
The other edit, which was my misinterpretation of an editorial suggestion, was to bold the word "that" on the first page.
Oh.
I think it's in I think I corrected it on my version now, so I can't find it.
Yeah.
But that is not, it is not intended to be bolded, so that should be regular text.
I have one other question that doesn't exactly pertain to this, but it would be great in support of this. And I was gonna leave it to the March 7th meeting, but maybe we could get a preview now. Some MACs have budgets, we don't. And what is involved with defining the needs to be able to justify having a budget?
Well, we have a budget, we just don't know what it is.
No, some of the maps actually have a budget that they direct because
Right.
funds have been
Allocated for it.
But that's because of land use in their particular area. We don't have that.
So,
I
but
think like
most,
Mark West,
But then
No,
not most, a few, a
so they
few.
got a budget because of.
They were formed because of monies that were
so I'm just gonna challenge that a little tiny bit, because there is a budget that when you go, just for example, when you go on your, I'm assuming this is how it's done, this is how it's explained to me, but you're going to show your hours allocated tonight, right? And does that not come in a form? Isn't there a budget set aside for the MAC that accounts for all the county's time and any
So,
material
there's
and
a
all
line,
that?
there is a budget for the map
Mhm.
through District 5,
Mhm.
and that is for hall rental,
Right.
equipment, interpretation, yeah, things,
Right.
things like that.
But there
But
is.
we don't have, but that's for administration. It's not something directed by the MAC. Other MACs were formed, and that, we can learn more about that. I'll ask for some
Because-
more information
Yeah, it
about.
would be useful
it
for a
wouldn't-
communication plan for being able to have something to work with in order to be able to be more effective at what we're trying to do,
Exactly.
because
There
that's
is
what-
a
hence the-
budget for materials.
Hence the question about membership, hence the question about other things, because it does have to come from somewhere, and so the
Right.
question is, what should,
So like
where should?
your name badges,
Right,
that's so that when you're out in the community, if you find the River Mac found that they incorporated into their community engagement outreach plan, that they were going to make an effort to do tabling. And so now for the past 2 or 3 years, they sign up, they go to farmers markets, they
Yeah,
have a
those
little
kinds
match
of things.
table.
Right.
And then after like the first year, they said, well, we would, yeah, everybody else has swag. You know, we want something to hand out to people.
Right.
So they created a magnet
Yeah.
that has information, you know, has like a QR code for the map, for the River Map website, things like that. So if you were tabling and you wanted to do things like that, we could, you know, look at the budget for those kinds of things.
And there are, and potentially there, and again, I'm thinking community outreach. I'm thinking
Right.
about this document we just went over to keep, you know, just so to make it clear. But, is there a way to look at the community outreach?
Look, how about this? Fiscal years when?
July?
July? Fiscal
Yeah.
year's July.
Yeah.
So how about the month before that maybe, or a couple months before that, because I don't know what the lead time is. If we have an agenda,
I bet you were
Discussion.
doing budget planning 6 months ahead, I bet.
Yeah.
But anyway, but no, your point is well taken.
these aren't
Yeah.
gonna be big numbers.
No, no.
Right.
And so let's have a meeting where
Yeah,
we have a
put together a
discussion,
list.
and each of us
yeah,
brings
yeah,
our
yeah.
ideas. We put together a budget request.
Great idea.
Submit it, and then,
Do we
we'll
have to
get some money
agendize
back.
that?
We can decide.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna do that, yeah.
So we should make this on the March agenda.
If you want, you mean like materials, if you want materials for,
Or whatever it is we're thinking about regarding community outreach, and it's gonna be a brainstorming session more
Yeah.
than I think. You know, the Geyserville Mac, just, it has $100,000.
yeah, so actually, Tracy just shared with me, let me,
Holy moly.
so Mark West funds come from Pale Am water fees, and that was determined when they were established in 2016. Geyserville has funds because of the Dry Creek Tribal Mitigation Fund to address the impacts of the casino. And then the MAC advises on how that money is allocated in Geyserville. So that's a mechanism that they were looking to have oversight of these funds, and it
Well,
went to the MAC.
A
So,
mechanism might be the TIF funds, if we have to have a,
There it is.
if we
Well,
have
the
to have
TIF
an earmark, you know, it's something.
So I
But
just,
it's-
But that's another,
I think
it's an
a
agenda
great-
item
it's
for
a great
later.
conversation.
and the MACs have advised on how TIF funds are spent.
For this.
Yes, I know that.
And
So
so,
that we don't wanna be.
We don't wanna solve the
of
problem.
Where we're doing, keeping and making financial decisions. We don't wanna do that.
No.
But we can ask,
I think it would be, yeah, I think it would be
Fine.
useful. And, you know, particularly, Beth, I think you've hit on something really, really very interesting. And it is this issue of if there were a pool of dollars for outreach, and I know this is gonna sound crazy, but, you know, the company I run just did 2 big trade shows, and you know, I said, oh, you guys gotta be kidding me. They did like a wristband, a simple, cheap wristband that they gave away, you know, the company's name and website and whatnot. They were like gold. I mean, there's simple things that are incredibly inexpensive. I mean, I've even thinking about, you know, the issue of sustainability, recyclability. Let's get an appropriately sourced and sustainable, you know, bag with, you know, printed with, you know, like reusable, like a little reusable shopping bag with, you know, the MAC website on it. I mean, it's that kind of stuff that raises awareness, and for, you know, $500.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying
Community
those things,
outreach.
but I'm just saying, community outreach is a very, and Jenny, to your point, the same thing, a membership. I think we should just have a discussion.
Yeah.
And put down some things in a concrete way, which gives then you, Debbie, an opportunity to share it with your team and get a reaction, you know, so.
And then we would leave you to figure out how to get it.
Yeah,
Well, again, it's a conversation
You
next
know,
month.
We
or next
find out,
meeting.
yeah, I mean, what's possible, okay.
Right, what are the rules?
Are there any, I'm just,
I think it's a fabulous document.
on the last page.
Yeah.
For roadway issues.
Yeah, this
road
is what I had
enforcement,
picked up.
They should be they should be reported, to SoCo Connect.
Oh, all right, okay,
And,
I'm glad you caught that.
And that's something that maybe we haven't had,
No.
a presentation
No,
from SoCo.
no, because
SoCo
this
Connect.
was,
Yeah.
this was in, I mean,
No,
out of, I looked at multiple, as I said, I looked
Yeah,
at
We,
multiple.
we have, it's been a while.
So
Yeah,
it's
SoCo
SoCo,
Connect.
is
And
it
it's an
SoCo
app.
dot connect, or is
No.
it just SoCo Connect?
I think it's just well, it's an app, but it's also a website.
Is it 2 words?
Yeah, SoCo.
Sonoma County.
Connect.
Well, all I would like to do is find, if there is a
Yeah,
website.
We'll get you the
If
link
we can
to
put
it.
the, if we
No.
can put the name and the website
Yeah.
link.
No,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
all.
only for reporting new issues, or this is when they want to tell us about an issue, because I get emails from Che telling me
One
about
clarification.
Caltrans work coming up, and then I post it, so
Right.
that people know.
Yeah.
But-
Right.
We
But-
really can't act on county infrastructure, nor can the supervisor, like
No.
you say, oh my gosh, there's a traffic signal. Hey, Linda, call them up and get them on it. Well, she doesn't get to direct
No.
county staff, so
Right,
this,
but if you're out
this
in
is-
the right, if you're out in the
this is-
community
yeah.
and someone says, hey, there's a pothole here, or there's a code
Yeah,
enforcement
That's
issue.
about
they're all
reporting
there,
something happening.
reporting
Right.
something.
CMAC.
Something new.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
I think
No, I know
it's
you-
great.
I know you know
Let's-
that.
But my
refer it,
point
yeah.
was
Yeah,
that
we'll say-
sometimes the
You gotta-
information's coming the other way.
And we can tell a person, this is what you.
This is
need
where
to
you
do.
go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll just get the,
Inform people in town
that's super, that's super.
that something's happening on our roads. So there's a two-part of that, right? This is reporting something new. The other is there's gonna be a major disruption coming up because of a repair going to be done.
Right, but they're gonna have to go to Public Works or whoever's handling that. I mean,
It's district, we'll put it in the bullet.
Right, but they rely also on us to inform our neighbors.
I don't think this precludes that. I think it's more
No.
the issue that if we as MAC reps get specific questions like the pothole or the light, it gives us the ability to say, this is what you should do. That, I think that was the intent of this,
Okay.
of this.
Right.
It's not to preclude us from communicating.
Right.
You know, we just got that note about,
Yes.
Jenny just got
Yeah,
that note.
and I
we got
just
that
put
note
that
about
out
the
because
dates.
people are gonna be
Yeah.
inconvenienced.
Scott, you have a question?
Yeah, I think Debbie, I detected that if anyone needed something printed, you would do it for them. If they needed a flyer to put on every other telephone pole or like was suggested in the,
Yeah.
you will do printing.
We
for
can
them
print, yeah,
upon
right.
request.
Right, we can print map flyers, and I have,
No.
you know, the,
You are not the roadblock. I've said I would get something designed and I've been remiss, and now I'm sufficiently embarrassed that I will get something designed and you guys can take a look. Nothing would be printed without everybody.
Okay, back to our document here.
Point well taken.
Do-
Is there a motion?
Yeah.
Well, if everybody's happy with or trusts him to make those edits.
Well, Debbie will keep me honest.
okay, you're looking for a motion.
A motion to,
Yeah.
approve, to adopt the,
Amended.
yeah,
Yeah.
you said, go for it. Your
No, no,
words.
you're right.
No, honest to God, your words are better than mine
Okay,
right now.
I move,
I think Beth.
I move that we adopt the CMAC community, the draft community engagement outreach, right, as no longer draft, finished, including the amendments that were suggested. And that certainly we're free to from time to time revisit any particular issues that we can amend this down the road if we learn something that needs to be there. So I move that we adopt this.
I second the motion.
Is there anything?
Better be good.
We used to have, I think it's in the bylaws.
Vote on this.
Which wouldn't,
Yeah.
mean it's separate, and that is, back council members, if they miss 2 meetings, they may be removed.
Yeah.
And that's still in the bylaws.
That's
Yes.
still in the
So that's not
bylaws.
Part of this,
It's not part of this,
Thank
and then the keyword there is may.
for us, but
Doggone it.
still on.
Doggone it.
Okay,
I found one other typo, so.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
What are we adjourning?
No.
We're almost there.
Oh, adopting.
Yes.
Adopting.
We're adopting.
Adopt.
Vote is unanimous.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Is that it? Priorities and potential agenda items for the next.
Well, I think we already identified the March agenda item as talking about a budget. What would we do?
Okay.
And where will the March meeting be? In Jenner?
No, it'll be,
Budget or like potential outreach materials is what you're.
Potato, I guess, what funds do we have to work with? And what could we do with them? Maybe we can ask for some funds to do some other stuff.
I think a good place to start is, what are the needs?
yeah,
What would you like to?
Yeah, and then we'll go look for
It's
them.
like, look, what are the needs?
Yeah.
What are the
Yep,
needs?
yep.
what's the mission?
Identify
So
the needs.
March.
Identify the
so
needs.
Outreach,
Like
outreach material.
You know, what's-
Like what?
I would
outreach,
say-
that'll be the item.
Oh,
Outreach and engagement, outreach and engagement.
Well, if you want
Outreach and
materials.
engagement,
goes to your
engagement with
Right,
the
outreach.
question about joining organizations and doing
Well,
that
but-
kind of thing.
Can we make it more of a
Yeah, it's a
brainstorm? Where we can throw some other things in, like I'd really like to know more about the 100,000 Geyserville's getting to work on their roads. Stuff like that. Is this something that there's a mechanism for us to have something like that?
There's not, formed that way. There isn't.
But
What we do is we review the mission. We come up with ways to meet that mission. You put a price tag on what that is
Okay.
and you
See what
ask.
we can get.
Yeah.
See what we can get.
That's great.
So that's what we do. Okay, so that's passed. Let's talk about. Okay, the next meeting is at Sea Ranch. We're starting.
Oh, is it at Sea Ranch, the next one,
Is that what it is?
in March?
We went
Yeah.
we're working our way down the coast.
Correct, now.
We normally hit Sea Ranch on the longest day.
Well,
No, seriously, in July, it's always been
No, it's, yeah.
that the Sea Ranch, the two consistencies that are constants is that the January meeting is here and that the Sea Ranch meeting is July. Those have been consistent because of how many people head each direction and weather and stuff. So,
Daylight.
daylight hours.
For driving.
so the people coming from Sea Ranch today.
In the dark for the whole year. No, I mean.
We're not just thinking about the members of the MAC, we're thinking about the members, the people who want
Yeah,
to come
right.
to our presentations. So, and that's why we try and tailor them to each area
Right,
as well.
and that's what I want to do is the hosting facility, and representative have a say, or at least certainly input into what the agenda for that
Sure,
meeting is gonna be,
Sure.
just like it was here.
right.
Right.
All I'm saying is,
Jenner is problematic because of logistics support, and internet. And-
the little town hall they have
Yeah.
there,
Communities, yeah.
the community center.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then there's Timber Cove.
Although once I moved down the table a little bit,
It was better.
my internet connection
Yeah,
got
it
stronger.
was
So
better.
now that I know the space, I can set up a little bit closer to the signal. I mean, just to be, because Center is a little bit more central.
Yeah.
We don't have to determine that here. It sounds like there isn't anybody saying like we.
Well, I was just putting it out there for what tradition had been. Past that, I have no skin in the game on it.
Okay, well,
Except that it's hard for you to get there.
Mike,
Well, that's my
well,
problem, right?
it's
Yeah,
hard
It
for
is.
people from the north
To come down here, right?
Yeah, so
Well, it's an
I
island.
want to give the communities an opportunity to rotate in a predictable way.
Yeah.
So the representatives from that area can think about, hey, we got the meeting here in 6 months. What are we gonna be working on?
So then
Right.
can we
So-
talk about then, with that in mind, what would be the rest of the year? How would
So we
that,
have March, May,
March, May,
July.
July,
September.
September, and November?
Right.
So where are we
So we
going?
March at Sea Ranch. The
Yeah.
one- The one after that is May, that'd be at Timber Cove.
Okay,
Timber Cove / Fort Ross, because
Right,
they don't
right.
have a meeting.
right.
And then the one after that would be at Jenner.
That's July.
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 That would be July,
Yeah.
but I thought we just determined Jenner is not.
We're gonna.
No.
I think
Viable.
I think we were losing internet quite a bit. And then I moved, and then it helped, so I'll just set up differently.
So,
And
and
then
we gotta get a
September?
general representative. We can't
Yeah, that's.
And then-
that's-
be part of that,
And then September would be
uh, to hear.
here, and then
Yeah, they-
November would be.
I guess back up to Sebring. I mean, these, is there any point going to?
Bodega?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
We
they
did-
could
we
care
did
less.
once.
Okay.
There aren't any.
Yeah, we did it at the firehouse once.
Oh,
You know,
May I
here,
add, there is an aspect that. might-
we're still live, aren't we?
That
The
is-
fire- I don't think, we're
Yeah,
not,
I
the fire,
think
right.
going.
the fire district has precluded the use of the facility for meetings, yeah.
Yeah,
Going
Okay.
up,
So I don't
going
think
up
there's
in
a-
November.
we'd have to rent the hall.
Storms and trees down.
Yeah, storms, I don't wanna.
Consideration.
That probably
yeah.
does.
Well, what about, again, somebody's gotta drop.
Why don't we do?
But, well, with
Jenner-
SBS 707, we may be able to have in bad weather and situations, the person that would be driving would have the option to attend virtually by Zoom.
Well, we'll know that shortly, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So for now, we have March, and we're gonna look at see.
Well, I
for
think we
March.
should-
Can you look into availability for us?
Will get us on.
Look into what would, topic of.
Yeah,
interest.
absolutely, yeah.
Because we'll be talking about budget stuff, but it would be nice to have something that will.
So my
An
question
issue
is,
that's-
John, are you around for the March meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Can
I
you-
hope so.
Can I get a ride with you? Because
Of
that's
course.
the only way I can
Yeah,
get to
of course,
see.
I'm happy to,
It's
you know,
impossible,
of course.
absolutely off the
Absolutely, no.
table for me to
Easy-
drive to
easy
see
for me to
that.
do.
No
Yeah,
way,
happy to
I
do.
can't.
Yep, happy to do.
So we
But-
don't have potential agenda items here necessarily, but the priority is to rotate,
Yes.
and we have sort of a sketch of.
Well,
what the
I would
rotation will
say,
look like.
again, I'm delighted that we're gonna have a community meeting, but I would certainly put a pin in a potential agenda item to continue to discuss the resolution of the issues in this community.
This community.
One update, meaning the bodega bay, what we heard tonight. relative to-
Up in Sebring?
Well, it needs to be an agendized item.
And
I
people
mean,
can zoom in.
they zoom in. I
Okay.
would ensure that, people here are aware and, maybe we can even set up something here if they want to do it,
Oh,
and
Like
tune
a
in.
double site.
but I thought.
Well,
that
they
was-
could, I presume they can call in, they're just calling in as a group.
Notice it.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Okay.
saying this should be, I'm just saying if we put a pin in it to figure out where we are in the process, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, it may, I mean, Che is working to pull together all of the
Yep.
right people to be
Yep.
in the room, at the meeting next month. Probably wouldn't necessarily need to be a separate agenda item as much
Okay.
as a county
An
update.
Okay, I just want to
and,
be sure
you know-
that we aren't precluded from discussing it.
Got it. I'm with you.
That's
Right,
that's
it's going
that
to
is
be
the
a
issue.
big- it's going to
I
be
mean,
a
as we
big-
said, it's got to be on the agenda to be discussed, so I guess I
Right, but
would
we have to
say,
pull together the right
well,
people
it
to be
doesn't
there
need to be a whole
discuss it
team,
too.
it may just be, it may.
Good map discussion.
It may just be a single person representing the county's perspective. I mean, that's probably fine too, but I want to be, this issue is not going to go away. I mean, it's not. And so I think that part of it is, the community needs the opportunity to speak to it and where we are in the process. So I do think it needs to be an agenda item.
Okay.
Thanks.
That doesn't
More than I
preclude
think
you
of it.
from
Yeah.
No,
hosting another community.
no, not at all.
Right,
Not at all.
right, right,
Not at
right.
all. Not at
To
all.
do the same.
No.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
where are we? Are we ready to
We're
adjourn?
done.
We're adjourned. I second.
Favor?
All.
Oh, my.
So now we have to clean up the room too?
Yeah, at least we have to,
And chairs, right?
the chairs, I